Chapter 321. Evan's New Strength. Kai spun his swords, wielding them in reverse. Because he planned to give this beast to Evan, it would be best to handle this lizard with the back of his sword sharp. The lizard roared as it immediately shifted its focus to Kai and Evan. B rank, huh? Kai took another deep breath and observed the lizard's movements. It slithered on the ground and faced him from head on. Its long tongue aimed directly at Kai's head, trying to blow it out. However, Kai stepped on the ground as hard as he could and slightly bent down before striking it from below. The force pushed the tongue to the air, stopping the lizard's movement. Kai didn't do anything after that because he considered it a test for Evan. This was the first chance for Evan to attack, and if Evan didn't realize it, he needed to teach him that. Fortunately to him, Evan had moved to the side and aimed his pistol toward the lizard's head. Pistol's bullet might not be a match for Sniper's bullet, but it doesn't mean it is useless. Isabel said the reason she could give high output damage was due to her aim. As long as I shoot their weakest part and vital areas, they will surely go down without fighting, Evan thought, and aimed toward the lizard's left eye. Bang. The lizard saw this with that big eye and immediately moved to the side to protect to avoid being hurt. Evan smiled upon watching this as he adjusted his aim before releasing another shoot. This time, the bullet hit its eyes, rendering its vision useless. With this liberty, Evan used his healing magic to boost his physical ability to close in before jumping to the top of its head. He quickly struck his fist that had been strengthened by the exoskeleton and created a powerful impact that pinned down the lizard's head to the ground. This might look reckless, but Evan needed to do it to find the very vital area, the lizard's brain. His pistol couldn't cut the lizard's neck, nor could it blow the head like Isabel. The only way to fight it was to feel the body's interiors and hit them. In this particular case, Evan searched for its brain. Using that healing ability of his, he located the brain and aimed his gun again. Goodbye. Bang. With another shot, the lizard was still in shock and fell down. Kai checked the lizard and confirmed it with Evan. It's dead. That's good. Evan nodded and inspected his surroundings to see whether there were any magical beasts around. It seemed it had become his habit to do this. Or it could be said that was how impactful the near-death experience he had during his previous mission. Don't worry, we won't need to fight for 3 minutes, Kai assured him before asking, was hitting the head your idea? Yes. I didn't have enough firepower to kill that big lizard with my pistol alone, so I chose to sense the brain first by using that shockwave from my fist and my healing ability. This way, I was able to get a good grasp of its position and fired. That's a good strategy. Kai approved the strategy before saying, I see. Let's check it for another 2 or 3 beasts before I'm going to conclude something small. I understand. He nodded. The two then proceeded deeper. Noises started filling Kai's ears because they got closer and closer to the horde of magical beasts. Contrary to his expectation, the magical beasts were split into 2 perfectly, not allowing any magical beasts to slack off or change direction. It also gave trouble to Kai because, if he woke them up, he would be besieged by them. After thinking for 2 minutes, he suggested, unless there is an intelligent beast, we will continue. Roger. Evan nodded while following Kai right behind him. We are going to the left. Kai changed direction when he heard something. Evan didn't complain and kept following him as if nothing happened. They ran for about 30 seconds before they found a group of horses charging to the front. The main army from magical beasts are a bit farther from this, so it should be fine as long as we don't mess it up. Kai nodded. I will do my best. Evan took a glance at this group of 4 horses before aiming at one of them. Kai didn't say anything and went in the opposite direction. Seeing the 2 were coming, the horses tried to make an impossible 90-degree turn, but it ended up making a curved turn. Kai took advantage of this and used his sound blast to speed up, launching himself to the second horse from the front. Evan furrowed his eyebrows when he saw Kai doing something like that. Normally, it would mean that he wanted to kill 1 or 2 horses in that movement, but the fact that he still used the back of his sword bothered him. He realized what he was planning and went straight to the horse with his fastest speed. And as he expected, Kai hit the second horse's legs. The third horse saw the stumbling second horse and tried to avoid it, but to no avail. It tripped and gave Evans a precious chance. Bang bang. Evan, who had made his way over the field, released his shots, albeit barely. You are asking too much from me. Even though he said that, Evan still managed to aim his 2 shots accurately on each horse's head. Kai only made a small smile when he heard that before changing his focus to the 4th horse. Unlike the 3rd one, it had a larger distance from the 2nd horse, so it had enough time to leap over. Unfortunately, Kai rotated his sword and hacked the 4th horse. Evan saw this opportunity and released another bullet toward the 1st horse. Because Kai neglected this one, it had finished turning around and made his way toward Evan. The expression on his face had yet to change as he calmly looked at how the 1st horse dodged his bullet, but due to its speed and direction, it could only lift his head, avoiding the bullet from penetrating his brain. It still hit around the head area though, making it look very painful. Even the horse screamed in pain while still making his way toward Evan. Evan looked at the horse with a serious expression, but remained still as if he had no intention to dodge or move. It was at this time that Kai finally showed up. Beheading the horse, you were not going to dodge, Kai asked. I saw you in the corner of my eyes with your sword in normal conditions, so I knew you were going to kill it. That's why I didn't have the intention to move. Evan smiled while watching how the momentum of the horse kept charging at him before falling down 2 meters in front of him. Never mind then. Your field of vision is big despite aiming with your focus, showing that you focus not only on your aim, but also a certain degree of your surroundings. Thank you. And you haven't missed yet. I don't know if your accuracy will remain when we are surrounded by many, so I am going to test it later. I will do my best. Due to the use of magic, the guns don't have a huge recoil anymore, so I can aim more stable than ever. There is no gunpowder in the bullet as well, so it should be fine if I keep my head cool. Though, I will be in trouble in facing too many opponents at once. Yeah, you need experiences to see which one will be coming first, so you can target them first. Exactly. He nodded. That's why I am trying to get as many combat experiences as possible right now. That's good to hear. I will help you in that regard. Kai thought for a moment and asked, Still, I think you need a bit more firepower, you know. I agree, but it's not like I can bring rifles or something similar, right? It will surely drain my wallet after all. No. There are a few special bullets, right? Although it's a bit expensive, I think it's fine to buy some. I mean, there are some that still use gunpowder inside the bullet, but instead of exploding to give the bullet speed, it explodes after it hits the target to create bigger damage. I think you can use this to give you more firepower. Ah. If it's like a rifle, it will be like a normal mode and a grenade launcher mode. Yes. The concept is like that, Kai nodded. That way, I am sure that you will stand a chance against 10 beasts simultaneously. If you have gotten comfortable enough with that condition, we can start increasing the number of magical beasts you can handle. I see. I will ask Ayaka about the bullets after this mission and prepare myself according to that vision. Of course, if you find another good strategy, it's fine to think nothing of these suggestions. Kai smiled. Don't joke around. Your advice is one of a kind, especially on the battlefield. Evan rolled his eyes. Kai shrugged. Anyway, let's continue killing these beasts. There are around 30 beasts coming from R9. It's still 100 meters away. Evan turned around and found a group of cats. Unlike normal cats, these cats had undergone a transformation. They looked like a tiger instead of a cat. Still, they could see the difference and deem them as cats. 30 of them. The strategy is the same. I match your movement, you match mine, and improvise, Kai instructed as he jumped to the front, facing the cats. Roger. Evan raised his pistol, smiled, and shot. Bang. Chapter 322. Throw. After killing the group of cats, they went deeper and pierced through the enemy ranks. Because of the stabilization due to magic that had been implemented to the gun, Evan managed to shoot pretty well, especially without a recoil every time he shot. Although he could say that when they fought against many opponents, Evan's accuracy decreased by at least 30%. He still managed to aim at their heads with half the amount of his bullet. Both of them managed to synchronize their movements during this time, allowing better cooperation between the two. Kai could see a good future in Evan's marksmanship and gave his confirmation after killing around 500 beasts. As they expected, it took them a few hours to kill this much, and the sky had turned orange, signaling their retreat. Kai, Evan called him while looking at the numerous magical beasts charging at them. We need to retreat. I am sure the beasts won't follow us after around 2 kilometers. Kai thought for a moment, but couldn't answer him. He listened to the area and noticed there was something big coming their way. This is going to be a problem. Kai furrowed his eyebrows as he looked at the dust kicked up by that dangerous beast. I think we can't really retreat. Evan also noticed that, but he thought it was only because a group of magical beasts came together. But it seemed it was something different. What kind of beast will we face? I am not sure. Kai shook his head. I only know that it is big. Very big. Should we retreat? If this is something hard, I think it's best to not be near many of their beasts. Kai nodded in agreement. Yes, I think we should retreat for 500 meters, but it's best to let the magical beasts see us first before running away. All right. Evan agreed while shooting any magical beasts that tried to charge at them until they could see a huge animal coming from the front. The animal had a long, slender body, short legs, and a bushy tail. They also had a long neck and a small head with a flattened forehead and rounded ears. The top of the head, the back and flanks, and the tail had coarse black guard hairs with buff-colored tips over a softer undercoat, giving them a grizzled grayish color. The feet were webbed, with 5 toes ending in sharp, curved claws. This is Grison. Evan recognized it. But considering it's around this area, it should be a lesser Grison. If I am not wrong, they have a smaller size compared to greater Grison, right? How big that thing is? Kai frowned. I am afraid this one is different from the rest. You bet. He nodded. For now, let's retreat. I will provide cover fire for us too, while you maintain our course. Kai nodded back as they turned around and ran. To their surprise, a roar echoed from behind them as they instantly recognized whose roar it was without even looking. The sound came diagonally from above, so it was easy to recognize it. It was 30 meters long with a height of around 10 meters tall, so it was normal that Kai and Evan decided to retreat upon seeing this. But the moment they heard the roar, Kai immediately understood what kind of beast this Griffon was. He is one of the leaders. He warned Evan beside him. Evan turned around, shot a couple of bullets, and reloaded while running again. In that instant, he could see the difference in the movement of magical beasts. I don't feel safe in 500 meters. We shall go back for 1 kilometer before killing these guys, Kai contemplated. Evan only looked at him when he was like this, and kept shooting the beasts that tried to chase them. There are around 200 beasts in our surroundings that move alongside that Griffon. I will handle the big one while hindering the rest. I want you to focus on the weaker ones first, Kai commanded. Are you sure if we kill the boss first, their movement will be in disorder, you know? Nope, I don't think it will. Do you remember that they are supposed to have multiple boss-class monsters? Kai asked. Ah. Evan fell silent as he realized what was going on. The beasts will simply go according to their original plan, huh? Yeah. That's why we are going to eliminate them here and now. Kai nodded. One more thing. Do we need to hold the fort? This was a good question. Kai alone knew that he couldn't stop the advance of this boss monster and hundreds of magical beasts. Hence, he would be reckless the moment he decided to hold the fort. Meanwhile, they could keep making an assurance that no beasts would come their way from either the Chili army or New army. He ended up shaking his head. No, but the limit is 2 kilometers. During that period, we need to annihilate the entire group. Evan thought for a moment and nodded. This is killing me. I only have 100 more bullets. Yeah, he nodded. I never expected that our combination became that good during this period, so I was a bit too excited to see the continuation. Reflecting time is for later. What should we do right now? Use all your bullets. Kai grabbed Evan's wrist and carried him on his shoulder. Evan was startled, but he soon realized that this position allowed him to focus on getting rid of the beasts pursuing them. He aimed toward the magical beasts and bombarded them with bullets. Change of plan. You have 5 minutes. Use all your 100 bullets right now. Easy thing to do. He smiled while shooting them. We should be thankful for the fact that we're a bit deeper, because it means we can retreat safer. But you can't deny the fact that we won't be chased by this many if we stay in the safe zone. I agree. He nodded. The duo started reducing the enemy's number during these few minutes, and the Grison finally realized their aim. Never once did Evan shoot him, so it was pretty obvious with his intelligence to understand the real goal. Because of that, the Grison used his power. They had been known for their speed when they were small. It didn't change when he became big. He sped up, closing the distance between him and Evan. "Oi, Kai, it is approaching us." Evan screamed, but kept shooting the other magical beasts. Kai could also hear the footsteps. No, in fact, the Griffon produced a tremendous shake to the ground when it started running at full speed. It truly gave one a heart attack at this point. Kai. Evan glanced at him as he realized that the distance between them remained only 20 meters left. This way, the beast only needed 10 seconds to approach them. "Just shut up." Kai kept running without looking back. Since he looked very confident, Evan didn't bother him anymore. He had been killing around 70 magical beasts with his 90 bullets, so he could feel the number was decreasing. He still glanced back and forth to see this guy, but said nothing. 5 meters, Evan exclaimed inwardly as his heart skipped a beat. The Griffon seemed to be ready to ram its paw as soon as it reached them, so he wondered whether Kai had any trump card to fix this. "You are not calm." Kai let out a long sigh. "Do you think it can handle my speed?" Evan finally realized that Kai still hadn't used his sound blast to boost his speed this whole time, or the Griffon would have been left in the dust. "Yeah. If it is coming closer, we should just speed up." He smiled and activated his sound blast to create a distance between them. And just like that, their distance became 50 meters again. "Sorry, I haven't gotten accustomed to the front line, so I panicked earlier. It's fine. It comes from experiences after all," said Kai nonchalantly. Evan shot for another minute before he was out of ammo. "I am out. All right. I shall share your mission." Kai nodded. "I am going to handle them at this distance until the promised distance. Before I reach there, I want you to replenish your bullets and wait for me there. Oi, I am not a combatant like you." He felt like he was being abused by a cruel boss. Running at that speed would be his limit, even with his exoskeleton. If it's a normal you, it won't be possible. But you have your new magic now, Kai smiled. "Go." He tossed him to the air before using his sound blast to launch him as far as possible. "Don't freaking throw me so suddenly. Warn me first, you goddamn captain," Evan screamed, as he should have flown a few hundred meters with that magic. Kai then took a deep breath and smiled as he leaped a bit higher than usual to turn around while observing the situation. As he expected, he had run far enough to the point the Griffon would be alone for a minute or so. He should be able to injure this beast during that period. He raised both swords and smiled before creating a sound blast magic circle on the ground where he was supposed to land. Noticing this, the beast immediately decreased its pace and slightly raised its body as if it wanted to use its claw to hit Kai. Meanwhile, the magic circle launched Kai at a speed that the beast couldn't react to, especially with his body still moving. "It is not so easy to change pace from max speed to 0, you beast." Kai smiled and slashed downwards. Chapter 30:23 Fighting Alone. Kai furrowed his eyebrows when he suddenly saw the Griffon move faster than ever. In fact, when he realized he couldn't stop, and Kai was coming, it decided to leap to the front with an unprecedented speed. Kai struck his head with his vibration swords, but to his surprise, the Griffon summoned Earth Wall to stop both swords for a moment. After that, it head-butted the wall along with Kai, who was behind it. "Seriously?" Kai gritted his teeth, protecting his body from this with his hand. He was blown away to the air before he used his sound blast to decrease his momentum before landing on the ground unharmed. "Luckily, I have the exoskeleton that reduces the impact. It's a bit numb, but I should have no problem in wielding the sword like normal." As he said, if he didn't have his body covered by an exoskeleton, he might be injured to the point it crushed his bone. In this exchange alone, he realized that the Griffon was actually different from the rest of the intelligence beasts he had fought. This attack power alone was close to that of a black bear, one of the strongest A-rank beasts. To think I would need to face an intelligent A-rank beast. This is going to be a problem. Kai took a deep breath as he stared at the Griffon. "At least, I'm not going to fight against an S-rank or a protector." He released his animal instinct and let it take over. A few seconds have passed, and now I only have a minute left. Kai gritted his teeth and jumped forward. The Griffon seemed to have the same thought. This time, these two had a similar mind, as if they knew what each other was thinking. Kai waved his sword, trying to strike the Griffon's head, but the latter immediately rose and sent a paw toward him. Unfortunately, it couldn't catch Kai off guard again, and the powerful vibration swords finally showed its true might. Clang! A sound of a clash between two metals rang in their ears before the Griffon realized pain coming from its own claws. When it glanced downward, it found out that Kai just cut its claws. "It's for health reasons. You shouldn't have a long nail, so I cut it for you." Kai smiled, taunting the beast. He was trying to taunt the magical beast. If it were truly an intelligent beast, it would surely understand him somehow. And that was what Kai had been waiting for this whole time. The moment the Griffon roared as if responding to Kai's provocation, he disappeared. The Griffon widened its eyes and felt an incoming presence from his right. Kai furrowed his eyebrows as he realized that this beast had a stronger perception. If it was a normal one, he might be able to get close enough to strike him, but he needed another 1 second with his current speed. And that 1 second was enough for the Griffon to wave its hand, trying to swipe Kai away with that giant paw. Unfortunately, if this was the first time it showed such a great reflex, Kai might need to retreat. It already allowed Kai to see its capability in the first surprise attack, and this second occasion just reinforced that fact. Kai didn't panic and kept getting closer before he used his sound blast 2 times to launch him like a pinball past the paw, arriving right before its arm. He waved his sword to cut the arm but found another earth wall trying to strike him from below. "I have seen that move as well." Kai snorted and struck the wall with his offhand, making him spin in the air. This was still within his expectation as he used that force and cut the hand as if it was cut by a saw machine raw. The Griffon screamed in pain as it looked at the paw that fell off his arm before using its other hand to blow him away. He summoned 2 sound blast magic circles. One was next to him and the other one was beneath that giant paw. It launched both objects at the same time. Kai flew away to avoid that giant hand while the paw flew toward the magical beasts, making them either stumble or hit by that, stopping their movement for a little longer. Unfortunately, it couldn't stop the entire enemy. The right side of the enemies kept pursuing him as if nothing happened. In fact, they were quite angry when they saw the Griffon lose its hand to Kai. Even so, there was nothing they could do before they caught up. After seeing this, Kai picked up a few stones on the ground before running away like he planned to. He didn't forget to release his killing intent and stick out his tongue to provoke the giant Griffon. Grr. The Griffon gritted its teeth and tried to chase him. However, he wasn't as fast as the normal him because it had lost one paw. Seeing this, Kai grasped all the stones he picked up earlier and summoned his sound blast before throwing it. The sound blast amplified the speed of the stones as it flew toward the right side of the beast. Due to losing its right hand, it certainly couldn't protect the beast in that direction unless it stopped. If he truly did that, Kai would surely escape. After taking its right hand, there was no way the Griffon could let Kai do that. It kept charging at him without looking back, and this allowed Kai to reduce their number as much as possible. Still, he miscalculated something. "This is not good. I will be reaching the mark within a minute if I keep going at this pace," Kai muttered before letting out a long sigh. "It's time to create a huge disturbance, I guess." He leaped again to the air, using the same move as he did to surprise the Griffon. However, his current targets were the magical beasts behind the Griffon roar. The Griffon caught this move and sent his paw to slap Kai to the ground, planning to kill him like a fly. Kai only activated another sound blast to give another burst of speed, avoiding this attack. The moment he was about to crash into the beasts, he waved his swords and started his killing spree. Magical beasts' bodies started to fly to the air as Kai slowly made his way from the left side to the right side. The magical beasts tried to attack him, but none of them were able to hold him down. In fact, they couldn't last even a single hit. The Griffon planned to leave it to his underlings, but realized that none of them was useful. It then began making his way toward Kai without caring about his subordinate. Most of them were stomped to death because of this. When Kai saw this, he smirked while killing the monsters around him. He even purposely stayed in one place for a few seconds so that the Griffon could arrive. Roar! A loud sound reverberated in his ears as a paw struck forth. A green magic circle appeared beneath his feet as it launched him to the right side, letting the paw earlier strike the ground while killing a few beasts in the process. This surely made the Griffon even madder. It chased Kai no matter the cost. Come, come, come. Kai utilized the same strategy. It succeeded a few times before the Griffon changed its attack pattern. Instead of striking him from above, it swept the entire magical beast along with him to push him away from there. Oi, oi, this is insane. Kai gritted his teeth. If he jumped, the Griffon would surely slam him down, whether using its hand or its head. I guess I will take this one. Kai sighed before using his oscillation shield to block himself from the beasts. After all, if he stuck with them while getting swept, the beasts had the chance to strike him. That was why he used this giant oscillation shield, bigger than his body, to protect himself. Still, the force was enough to disturb his plan as he rolled on the ground, completely surrounded by beasts. The one on the left side rolled farther than him because there was nothing to stop them. Meanwhile, he, in the middle, and the beasts on his right side stopped right away due to their sacrifice and immediately charged at Kai. Kai rose from the ground instantly, but in this position, he could only do another swing with his main hand. If he hit the Griffon, he would be struck by the incoming magical beasts, and vice versa. This was a serious situation, as one wrong decision might prove to be fatal. Even so, Kai didn't even glance at the magical beasts. He created an oscillation shield on his right, but ignored the rest. Roar. Those who hit the oscillation shield roared, while those who came from behind him tried to bite him. Kai knew about this, but he kept focusing his attention on the Griffon in front of him as he struck its paw, cutting half of the paw raw. The beasts behind him let out another roar before biting him. It was at this time Kai smiled as he heard a few gunshots coming from his left. Bang bang. Bang, 3 shots echoed as the beasts behind him flew to the side, as if something just hit them. The momentum still pushed them toward Kai, but because of these shots, they were a bit to the right, missing him just a few inches away. Nice shots. Kai smirked. Highs. You are pushing me too much, Captain. What will you do if I were not in time? Evan let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 32:4. Finishing. Highs. You are pushing me too much, Captain. What would you do if I were not on time? I've been keeping track of you. It's within my calculation. He grinned. Or else, why would I ignore them? I should wait until the magical beasts hit you first before helping you. I can heal you later. Evan let out a long sigh. Ha ha, I know you can't do it, said Kai with a confident look. As a healer himself, Evan should know what it meant to heal someone else, especially his comrades. There was no way he would let Kai get hit by those magical beasts if he could help him. After all, Kai had been doing the same thing for him during this period. Anyway, I will be handling this big one. You can focus on the small ones. Some of them will surely go to me, but you don't need to concern yourself with them. Meanwhile, the others that get past me, you need to handle them alone. Kai commanded. Receive the order. He smirked and started shooting again. Just like Kai predicted, the Griffon immediately roared, ordering the beasts to charge at Evan first, as he seemed to be weaker than Kai. The magical beasts then started to go around them. Oi, oi, how convenient are you to have your subordinates follow your exact command after you kill many of them? Kai exclaimed before launching himself to the Griffon's head with his sound blast. The Griffon panicked for a moment and bent down his body, so Kai didn't slash his head. Not good enough. Kai smiled and created another magic circle to launch him downward, allowing him to step on the Griffon's head. He waved his sword downwards, trying to cut the head, but the Grison immediately rolled over, trying to get Kai off his head. Obviously, Kai jumped a little bit to not get knocked out, but he soon saw an incoming paw coming from the side, planning to slap him away. Due to that, he activated his sound blast, trying to cut down that last hand. However, another rumbling sound echoed in his ears as he glanced toward his back, finding the ground rising. I won't be fast enough. Kai instantly knew that the ground spike was to hold him down, and the Grison had been planning to do that for a while to disturb Kai's movement. The paw would then hit him in this way. In other words, the beast was also improving during this fight, making Kai see it in a new light. Seriously. Kai clicked his tongue and turned around, facing the paw with his left hand and the spike with his other hand. Because the two had the same strength overall, he was pinched by two giant stones that were trying to crush him. Kai gritted his teeth until the magic circle completed and launched him out of these two things that pressed him. After that, he landed on the ground and started killing the magical beasts instead of going back to attack the Griffon. He realized that Evan wouldn't be enough to deal with this many. There are still around 200, huh? Kai observed the situation while killing this, disturbing the entire rank of magical beasts that were going toward Evan. He managed to do it for a minute before the Griffon finally stabilized its body and swiped his claw to bring Kai into the same situation before Evan helped him. Seeing this situation, Kai leaped to the air, avoiding this attack. However, the Griffon suddenly opened its mouth as a green light started forming inside his mouth. Wait, what? Do powerful magical beasts have the ability to shoot out a beam from their mouth? Is that a given? Kai exclaimed in surprise while activating his oscillation shield. The beast released the breath that turned seemed to be a green light ball and hit Kai's magic shield, creating a huge explosion that blew Kai away. It was at this time Kai smiled while getting blown away. His sound blast magic circle appeared behind him, launching him to the ground before he appeared below the Griffon and struck its body. Roar. The Griffon's roar echoed in his ears. It would never expect that the smoke produced by the explosion turned out to be Kai's smokescreen that allowed him to get closer to hit him. In other words, Kai also tried to accommodate the progress that these beasts had and fought it on its own terms. He didn't stop there, as he immediately went toward the other hand and cut it off. Without any hands, the Griffon shouldn't be able to run again unless it decided to use only his 2 feet. Even so, it was only at walking speed. It wouldn't pose much trouble for them. After cutting the hand, Kai decided to glance at Evan while he was in midair. He saw Evan stepping on the magical beasts and hopping from one another as he kept shooting them. He never thought that Evan would be that acrobatic, but it might also due to his newfound power. At least, he seemed to be able to withstand the magical beast's attacks for a few minutes. In the meantime, he needed to kill this beast first. Without arms, you pose no more threat to me. Kai snorted as he started going around while dealing some damage to the giant Griffon. In the meantime, the Griffon ordered half of the beasts to attack Kai instead, but they were not capable of stopping Kai's advance as he continued using his sound blast to make great maneuvers. After around 2 minutes of continuous attacks, the Griffon finally fell down to the ground, died. Kai couldn't catch a breath as he immediately went to relieve Evan from the magical beast's onslaught. He then acted as a vanguard as they killed the remaining beasts. We have finally finished. Evan stretched his hand, tired after fighting for so long. Haze, that Griffon is certainly hard. I am even wondering why it would become like that. What do you mean? Evan frowned. That Griffon can improve. A magical beast that can improve. Evan widened his eyes. From what we have known, there are only intelligent magical beasts, but they are only controlling the beasts around them like a boss. They can't improve their fighting style or anything. But that one certainly can. It might have analyzed my attack pattern and do whatever it takes to disturb it. Luckily, my pattern is not something that can be easily defeated, or else I might be the one laying over there. Kai let out a long sigh. Is this a new type? Evan narrowed his eyes. Or is there any intervention from the protectors? I am not sure. Either way, this is something we should report. I don't know, but I feel that it will only happen to intelligent magical beasts. Kai sighed. Should we bring back the body? You can bring that one back. Kai pointed his finger towards the giant beast while staring at Evan with a weird look. I mean, we can ask for reinforcements to come and bring them back for further research. Evan shook his head. If that is the question, then no. The sound of them dragging this big one will attract the monsters in the surrounding. At the very least, it can only be tomorrow or the day after. I understand. I will report it to them first, so they can pick it up at dusk. I think everything should have been concluded by that time, right? Kai thought for a moment. I am not sure. I have located 3 groups during this time that are separated from each other, but in harmony. That's why we might need to face 3 magical beasts like this tomorrow. Seriously, I might need to bring more supplies. Evan let out a long sigh. How is their strength? 100 beasts are surrounding them, but it shouldn't be a problem. The problem is their positioning. They might be separated, but they are not that far away from each other. In other words, the 2 of them may aid it if we are not fast enough. That is a problem. Evan looked down, falling into deep thought. There is a time limit, and there might be a chance that the two will show up at the same time. Indeed. That's why we need to risk it and deal with the first one before the two arrive. After that, we will strike the second one and kill it before the third arrives. There is a reinforcement option, but I think we shouldn't rely on that. But just bring a flare gun in case we need to call reinforcement. Evan nodded. I understand. I will bring the flare gun with me. Yeah. What do you think about the plan? I think we can employ another tactic. Kai narrowed his eyes. I will be kiting the third one while you are dealing with the second one. That's a no. You will be exposed to danger. They are strong, you know. Kai shook his head. But that is more efficient. I have no doubt that we won't be able to kill the second one before the third comes. I know that you are avoiding putting me in danger because I am still a greenhorn, but please trust me a bit more. If it's running, I can still do that with my newfound ability. He smiled. Kai gritted his teeth. As Evan said, he had considered that plan as well, but because Evan would be exposed to far greater danger, he decided to go with the current plan. Still, with him asking for it, he couldn't dismiss his thoughts like a dictator. I have one condition. Chapter 30:20, Alpaca. What is the condition? Evan asked with a serious condition. It's simple. If you are surrounded, I will be helping you. I will also monitor you at any given time. All right, I agree, he nodded. I know my weakness well, and how concerned you are about my safety, so I won't say anything about this. Anything other than that, I would like to make a full decision. It's your part. You are the one filling the details. I won't say anything other than our general plan. He nodded. Besides, I have been letting all of you much freedom unless it's necessary. True enough. He nodded. By the way, you don't mind if I take care of all the other magical beasts first, right? Kiting is fine, but I think I can kill around half of them while waiting for you to take down the second one. It's your choice. All right. After agreeing to these terms, Kai and Evan decided to go back to their camp, resting through the day to recover from their fatigue. Kai was trying to come up with another plan that might be better than the one he made on the fly, while Evan was wiping his pistol, preparing everything possible. The next day, they both looked at each other before Kai noticed how Evan brought 2 cases with him. Bullets. Kai seemed to recognize his intention and asked, Yeah. I don't know how many monsters we need to kill, since they might order some of the magical beasts to gather around them, instead of fighting the 2 armies. That's why I am planning to make depots, where I can resupply. Kai closed his eyes and contemplated for 2 minutes before nodding. I understand. If the situation hasn't changed, I know 2 perfect spots to make depots. The first depot will be the first layer where we can assemble there to resupply, and I think we can bring some food and water bottles to that place. As for the second one, it will be around the coast where we can ask for the Chile army's help. He suggested, but didn't insist on using those 2 spots. Knowing his consideration, he nodded. I will leave it to you. I am not good with this anyway. All right then. Let's go. Kai and Evan then set off early in the morning toward the coast of Chile, trying to sneak around the Chile army and the magical beasts. This allowed them to wait for the 3 intelligent beasts to order their beasts to attack the humans again. As soon as they arrived, Kai asked Evan to wait until around 9 in the morning before he deemed it safe to go inside their territory. After making the 2 depots, they stopped for a while. I will say this again, I will take on the intelligent one while you handle the others. I understand. Let's go. The time limit is 1.5 hours. As soon as Kai said it, they immediately ran toward their first target. Although he could listen to their footsteps that could be differentiated into 3 different groups, Kai couldn't discern which one was the strongest or their leader. Hence, they needed to check which one was the leader, making it even more dangerous. Even so, they could only do it with minimal information, storming in their territory. Kai had been leading the group this whole time, making sure they didn't run into a group of magical beasts, alarming the enemies. The process took around an hour before they finally saw their target. It was a group of 100 magical beasts, consisting of many types of magical beasts. However, Kai could clearly see the difference between them. There was one beast that clearly cut out the rest. It was an alpaca. The size of this alpaca wasn't really different from the normal one, but there was this aura that seemed to be clearly above the rest. This one seems to be a long-ranged beast. Kai narrowed his eyes. Maybe it can spit out poison. Albeit, that's the first thing that comes into my mind as soon as I see this guy. Evan fell silent for a second. I don't know why you have such a thought, but whatever the case, it's going to be like what you said, a long-range beast. I am afraid that it will use all the magical beasts while throwing something at us. Yeah, Kai nodded. That's why I want you to dedicate the first shot to hit this guy while I become the bait. Understood. All right then. Good luck to you. The place was a plain without anything to hide other than tall grasses. Even so, it wasn't enough to hide the entire body, so they were a bit far from the center itself. That was why Kai needed to run around 30 meters before the beast could spot him. The alpaca immediately ordered the magical beasts to attack Kai. Nice, Kai muttered when he saw this, and went around to gather enough attention so Evan could run toward the field to make a sneak attack. Still, as he expected, he found the alpaca staying in the middle of their ranks, looking at Kai as if it wanted to attack him. So, Evan could succeed in attacking this guy. He needed to make huge chaos among the magical beasts under him. To do that, he ducked down, placing his hand on the ground to summon a giant magic circle, Sound Blast. Kai decided to pour more magic power than he usually used to ensure that the battle would surely go well. Around 30 magical beasts were launched to the sky, but not too high to the point it could cause serious damage to them. Still, it was enough for Kai to gather the alpaca's attention as it narrowed its eyes and opened its mouth. Here it comes. Due to the beasts flying in the air and the others were still trying to close that gap, there was nothing between Kai and alpaca. Hence, the alpaca suddenly shot out a green spit or something that flew toward him at high speed. He instantly summoned his sound blast since it still had time to travel. The force coming out of the sound blast blew out the spit. Although it couldn't send it right back to the alpaca, it still hit a magical beast that soon filled the gap between them. The magical beast was a cougar. As soon as it hit by the spit right on the face melted as it howled in agony before dying. Kai widened his eyes, never expecting to be this great. That one is dangerous, I guess. After seeing this, Kai immediately used his sound blast to launch him to the alpaca before the beasts that he sent to the air earlier landed on the ground. The alpaca spat out the same poisonous thing again, trying to stop Kai in his advance. Seeing this, Kai purposely halted his footstep as if he was trying to avoid it like a newbie. However, Kai had made a careful decision during this process. As soon as he avoided this attack, another attack was released. The attack came from none other than Evan, who had sneaked behind the alpaca. The gun still let out a sound despite using a suppressor, and the alpaca picked it up as it turned around to see it, so it could avoid the bullet. Unfortunately, it was not able to avoid the attack with this timing. The bullet pierced through its head, specifically its left eyes, and tore the bridge between two eyes. Although it couldn't destroy the other eyes, he was satisfied during this time around still. The current appearance of that alpaca was horrific. Kai didn't look away, but he certainly felt a bit bad to see the wound. The alpaca was swaying left and right before it roared to the sky. Finally, the proud alpaca found itself being hunted by two people and decided to call the backup. At the same time, the magical beasts finally chased him again from behind. Evan shot a few of them as Kai made his way toward the alpaca. The latter suddenly opened its mouth, releasing the kind of green tornado that was filled with poison. With that size alone, it would surely swallow Kai as a whole. So Kai immediately summoned his sound blast to blow it away from him like a fan. It succeeded, and even hit some of the magical beasts on his right, but the others caught up at this point. He had no choice other than to turn his body around and slashed a monkey at the size of a normal human behind him while calculating which ones he should attack next. Evan helped Kai by shooting a few more, but the latter pointed his finger toward the alpaca. Kill. He wanted to ask Evan to kill the alpaca, but he got interrupted by the other beasts. The monkey he had slashed suddenly held his feet as it used the last bit of its energy to restrain Kai. Kai immediately killed the monkey to free himself, but the other magical beasts had caught up during that split second, trying to stop him from moving. Suddenly, the alpaca charged at Kai while opening its mouth. He summoned his sound blast to blow the spit away, but to his surprise, the alpaca didn't actually intend to attack him using that. On the contrary, it had another reason, especially with how he coordinated with the magical beasts behind Kai, trying to stop him from moving. Kai waved his other sword, but the alpaca bit his sword to stop that swing. To his surprise, the alpaca made a ridiculous move he would ever think. Seriously, the alpaca opened its mouth again, letting Kai's sword slash his mouth. However, it still released its last attack, trying to kill Kai by smearing it with poison. Spat. Chapter 326. Confirmed. The green poison that came out of the alpaca's mouth melted the ground. Kai didn't blink as he somehow managed to create his oscillation shield and boosted its power a little bit. Normally, it would only reduce the impact coming from an attack, but because he poured more magic power, it was able to deflect the spat from earlier, throwing it back to the alpaca. Unfortunately, unlike his sound blast, the oscillation shield couldn't blow it away, so most of the poison fell to the ground instead of hitting the alpaca. Nonetheless, the alpaca had died under Kai's blade, and he somehow managed to escape unscathed. Seriously, Kai took a few deep breaths before turning around. Evan's heart skipped a beat when he saw that, and felt he was pretty lucky to avoid that. "Captain, are you all right?" "I'm good. Focus on defeating the rest first, and head to the other two. I will explain later," Kai commanded while slashing the magical beasts. Evan nodded and started picking up his pace, killing them at a faster rate than Kai. In just 3 minutes, they finally finished dealing with all the beasts. "How is your stamina?" Kai asked as soon as they finished. "I am good," Evan nodded, assuring him by waving his hand nonchalantly. "That's good, then follow me. I will explain on the way. I understand." The two then headed toward the southeast, where they would separate at a certain point to fight their respective battle. "I am glad that your shield is fast enough. I am not sure if I can regrow something that is melted, you know." "Yeah, that's why poison might be the most dangerous thing in the world." He nodded. "Anyway, my oscillation shield activation is faster than Sound Blast, so it's convenient. Unfortunately, it doesn't hold the same strength." "I see. That's why you often use your shield instead of Sound Blast, even though it's stronger. Their purpose is different too, so I don't want to be reliant on one magic. I can see that. Anyway, your enemy is over there. There is a chance that the enemy might ignore you and chase after me, so if you can, you should assassinate it at that time." "I understand. Well, you only have 15 minutes to kill the leader and the rest of the magical beasts. Do you think you can?" "I am not sure now. From what I have seen, the magical beasts are becoming smarter than ever. I don't know what caused it, but that's the case. Just like earlier, where the dying ape released the last bit of its strength to grab my feet. The monster this time might be more troublesome than we expected." But can't you avoid the movement by listening to them?" "I can, but do you think I have prepared a scenario where they choose to bring me down together? At the very least, I can prepare a minimum counterattack, but there are too many possibilities on how to bring an enemy down together with 100 beasts. At the very least, I need to make a simulation battle in my head first, albeit we don't have that much time." He let out a long sigh. "I see. Anyway, it's time to go on our way," Kai reminded him. "Good luck to you." Evan smiled and stomped the ground as he changed his direction according to Kai's. Kai, on the other hand, kept running straight and only adjusted the angle of his direction a little bit to match the movement of the magical beasts. Not long after, the group finally came into his vision as he checked on them first. "Should I use my sound insulation room so the magical beasts on Evan's side don't make an unpredictable move?" Kai muttered while observing the enemies. The leader this time was a chinchilla. Just like the previous experiences, the chinchilla had the size of half human, looking very ferocious. And this time, the fur was red along with the eyes. Cruck. Suddenly, a magical beast informed the chinchilla of Kai's position. "I am found out." Kai narrowed his eyes, seeing how it ordered the magical beasts to charge in his direction. At the same time, it released a few fireballs toward Kai and had it explode around him, preventing him from going around. As expected, this guy is seriously becoming smarter. I need to prepare for the worst then. Kai let out a long sigh and checked everything in his surroundings. Unfortunately, they were situated in the middle of a road, so it was hard to take advantage of the environment since there was nothing to be taken advantage of. He jumped once to build up his momentum and charged toward the magical beasts, clashing with them head-on. As he expected, the magical beasts were more ferocious than he expected. It might be due to the loss of the alpaca and griffon, but he couldn't find any way that these beasts knew such a thing. Unfortunately, he could think nothing as he kept swinging his sword while glancing over to make sure the chinchilla didn't do anything. But to his surprise, the chinchilla had prepared an attack for him by summoning a few fireballs over his head. Does it want to drop it here? There are the beasts under him, Kai exclaimed in surprise as he tried to leap out of this onslaught. And, as he expected, the moment he left, the chinchilla immediately threw all the fireballs at him. Kai had prepared for this and used his sound blast to go one step faster, avoiding this. He didn't dodge in a random direction. Instead, he went straight toward the chinchilla, trying to finish this as soon as possible. Kai slashed his sword downwards, aiming at the direct head. Suddenly, his sword was stopped by a wall of flame that received his vibration sword completely. Unlike the magic that had solid form, this one was intangible. The force that was bursting from that form somehow managed to stop his attack. Every time he met a beast like this, it never ceased to surprise him. He needed to know the source of their power-up, but his teacher might be the one that could investigate it. He raised his head when he sensed heat coming from above his head, finding 3 fireballs. The 3 fell down. It dropped the balls. Kai widened his eyes as he immediately used his sound blast to launch him to the sky before using the sound levitation to check his surroundings. Did it die because of its own attack? Kai thought while hoping it was true. However, he couldn't sit still anymore because before the smoke was cleared up, many magical beasts used each other to leap to the air, trying to strike him down. Due to this, he was forced to deactivate his sound levitation and fell down to the ground. He focused everything on his hearing and found the heartbeat of the chinchilla. It was weaker, so he didn't find it instantly after the explosion, and this might be the chance to eliminate it. He leaped toward the chinchilla and slashed its head without further ado before he noticed a red-colored ball above its head. The chinchilla used the last bit of its strength to create that unstable fireball that would explode as soon as it lost control. In other words, it would blow out when the chinchilla died. Realizing this, Kai put out his oscillation shield as big as possible while preparing his sound blast to escape. Boom! The fireball exploded, and the flame would soon surround him. It was at this time the sound blast shone, sending Kai away from being surrounded by the flame. With this, he managed to kill the magical beasts, but he didn't feel like a victor. Not only the beast kept pushing him back with all those suicide attacks, but Kai could only land the hit that didn't decide the match. The smoke cleared up a bit because of the shockwave from the second explosion. Although it produced a new smoke, it wasn't as thick as the first one. He couldn't find the chinchilla's body, so he confirmed it was dead and reduced to ashes. To think he would kill the magical beasts with just a single opening, it felt surreal. Still, I have 2 jobs left. Kai glared at the magical beasts that he avoided once and started killing them as this was one of the jobs. It took him a few minutes to get rid of every single beast that seemed to be scared of him as soon as the chinchilla died. After killing them, he took a breather first and reassessed his situation and Evan's condition. The magical beasts' movements were too absurd. They immediately tried to commit suicide and drag me together without fighting back. It's like there is someone manipulating them to make such a move, but who? If I think about it, the only possible answer is the protectors, but I don't hear anything about them, and I think they are not in my range the whole time, so it's weird to see something like this. I wonder if the 2 armies are suffering from this. Kai thought for a moment and let out a long sigh. Anyway, I can only investigate it later. I need to. Kai suddenly fell silent when he listened to the battlefield. The soldiers pushed the magical beasts back. It even passed the place where he killed the alpaca. And this one is even more absurd. How easy it is to push them back, Kai exclaimed in surprise before he found a single group with another 100 monsters that separated themselves from the magical beast army and headed toward Evan. With this situation, they might arrive soon. Not good. Chapter 327. Fighting 3 suicide beasts. Not good. Kai instantly ran as fast as he could. However, the dilemma struck his heart as he couldn't choose whether to go to Evan or to stop the group of beasts coming toward Evan's position. He had been checking Evan this whole time, and he could listen to how he kept shooting his gun while running. Many fast monsters had caught up with him and attacked him. Injured, Evan kept killing them, albeit it had turned into a burden since it made him pour too much magic power to his wound and new power. 6 minutes. If I can't handle the leader coming here in 6 minutes, I will immediately go to Evan and help him. Kai gritted his teeth and used his sound blast to speed up, going toward the new group within 10 seconds. He stopped in front of them while holding his two swords. His heart suddenly started beating crazily as if it had something to say to him. At the same time, three beasts seemed to look more menacing than the others as he realized that the leaders of this group were not one but three. Seriously, getting surprises after surprises, Kai couldn't stop himself from saying, seriously, during this mission. The first monster was a deer. It had a pair of big horns that looked very hard. It might be able to destroy a rock or take down a tree if it got rammed by the deer. When it saw Kai, the deer immediately looked up as a torrential wind appeared above its head. The second beast was a cougar, but the color and pattern made it look like a tiger. However, the one that caught his eyes was the lightning that sparked around his feet. Last but not least, he needed to confront an intelligent orange flamingo. If he wasn't wrong, back before the apocalypse, it was called Chilean flamingo. It suddenly stretched its wing as it summoned 4 fireballs on its sides. As he was about to think of retreating by using the flare that Evan brought, the other monsters immediately went around him separately, trying to slip past him to attack. Evan, no, you won't. Kai gritted his teeth and used his sound blast to leap toward his right, trying to kill them first. However, the cougar didn't let him as it used its power to arrive before him within a second. Its speed wasn't losing to Kai at all. Kai used his oscillation shield and stopped the advance for a second to kill a beast. It was at this time the other two made their move. The deer sent a wind tornado toward him as the flamingo infused its fireball into this wind, creating a powerful fire tornado sound. Kai stopped and immediately changed his magic oscillation shield. Kai almost forgot the fact that his sound blast couldn't fight a wind element magic. The fact that sound needs medium to travel would surely not be effective against the wind that could disrupt the flow of air easily. Because of that, he chose to use something concise and didn't travel long. Unfortunately, the time he needed to change his magic made him unable to use the full potential of oscillation shield, allowing the fire tornado to blow him away as soon as it hit. The tornado didn't harm him in any way because it only struck his shield. But like someone using a shield, if the user couldn't handle the force, it would blow them away. And Kai experienced this as he got blown away for 20 meters. To his surprise, he lost track of the cougar for a second before noticing it was coming toward his back using that lightning speed. Teach. Kai spun his body and waved his sword toward the cougar, trying to kill it by a surprise attack. The cougar saw this first and changed its direction, heading straight toward his feet instead. Sound blast. This time, he finally used his sound blast to create enough power to spread his legs wide, allowing the cougar to pass the gap. When its head passed, Kai closed the gap, clutching its neck with his feet before spinning and launching him to the ground. The flamingo flew to the sky and created a massive fireball, dropping it right above Kai and the cougar. Meanwhile, the deer made a barrier of wind that trapped him inside a certain area to make sure that he couldn't escape that massive fireball. Knowing he had no choice other than to go up, Kai raised his hand and snapped his finger. Lullaby. Ding. A high-pitched bell rang in their ears as both flamingo and deer lost control of their magic. Obviously, the barrier and the fireball disappeared within a second. Kai took that chance to slash the cougar's head before it could have the chance to disrupt him again, killing it. Noticing how Kai made such a disruptive move, they immediately got closer to him, afraid that their magic would give him enough time to cast that move again. This was what Kai actually wanted. The moment the two came close enough, he used his sound blast to launch himself to one of them. His target was the easiest one to kill, the flamingo. Unlike the deer's hard horn, this flamingo shouldn't have any body parts that could stop his vibration sword. At the same time, the flame couldn't stop his sound wave. But to his surprise, the flamingo didn't move and look at Kai with a fierce expression. Because it was situated in the sky, it might think it had an advantage, but Kai used his sound blast to launch him and maneuver in the sky, so that advantage was basically non-existent. To his surprise, the flamingo suddenly covered its body in fire and flew toward Kai instead, as if it wanted to get burned alive with him, maniac. Kai gritted his teeth and used his sound blast to launch the flamingo back to the sky while blowing a bit of its fire. Due to this, The deer's wind magic caught up with him as it created a very dangerous ball filled with torrential wind. It felt like it would rip him the moment it hit, so Kai used Oscillation Shield to protect himself, albeit he got blown away once more. Annoying. They are trying to commit suicide in every single way, making it hard for me to follow their movement because I don't know whether they wanted to attack me or the other beasts or even their attacks to boost it even further. Kai clicked his tongue, using the time he got knocked back to think, I guess I can't really finish this soon without making a sacrifice. Kai took a deep breath and leaped toward the deer this time. When it saw him coming, it erected a wind barrier to protect itself. I will rip that apart, Kai shouted as he waved his sword. But a moment later, he realized that he was trapped inside a wind barrier too. The sound of the flamingo coming from behind alarmed him even further, as he snapped his finger again to disrupt the flow of the wind and the flamingo. Using this chance, he turned around and waited for the flamingo that couldn't stop due to its momentum and planned to strike it down in a single slash. However, excruciating pain jolted his brain as the wind that should have dispersed earlier actually hit him. Kai instantly realized what just happened. When he used the lullaby to break their concentration, the deer reinforced its own barrier to making sure no sound wave was coming toward him. Even if a portion of it came, it wouldn't affect its performance at all. It then tricked Kai into believing he failed to control the barrier, but it was not true at all. The wind dispersed, but it formed again right behind his back and hit him. Even with his hearing, it was hard to spot it because the earlier outburst of wind camouflaged it. And that force that hit him was like a truck hit him on his back. If it wasn't because of his exoskeleton, his skin might be ripped apart from that force alone, allowing one to see his flesh. Unfortunately, it didn't stop here. The force contained from the wind was also enough to launch him in the flamingo's direction that kept charging at him with that fire body. Knowing that he needed to finish this as soon as possible, he clenched his teeth to prepare for the pain as he used his elbow instead to stop the flamingo. Before dropping his sword and using the same hand to grab the flamingo. I finally got you, Kai smirked as he slashed the flamingo into two. He immediately released it too and checked the burn mark in his hand. If not because he knew Evan was able to heal a wound like this, he might choose to fight in a different way. He simply needed to rush toward Evan. The moment he killed the flamingo, he didn't go back to the deer. Instead, he ran toward Evan's direction, leaving the deer alone. Without thinking, the deer immediately charged at him with all his might. But it was at this time Kai used his sound blast to launch himself back, heading toward the deer. Because of their speed, the deer shouldn't be able to respond with any magic, so this was the perfect chance for him. He slashed his sword with all his strength. The deer also had its pride on its horns, as it lowered its head to block Kai's sword. To everyone's surprise, Kai suddenly found himself spinning, as it was clear that he was losing in terms of momentum and power, but it was fine. Everything was within his prediction. He used that spinning force to slash the deer's neck with his other sword. Chapter 328. Scheme Bang Bang Bang. Evan kept shooting the magical beasts and killed around 80 monsters since the start. However, he felt that everything really took his stamina. Not only did he need to avoid all the attacks, but he also needed to keep running at full speed and aiming at them as accurately as possible. Unlike Isabel or Tasha, he had nothing to show in terms of marksmanship, including experiences. It has been almost 1.5 hours since the start of this operation. Where is exactly the captain? Evan screamed while moving a bit closer to the first depot. His bullets were almost empty, so he needed to get the ammunition he left in the first point. As for the leader monster that had been chasing him, was a Darwin fox. If not because he kept shooting this animal, he might be able to wipe the rest of the magical beasts. Using its speed, the Darwin fox managed to keep his attention on him, allowing the others to attack Evan. However, Evan started getting the hang of its movements, so he began creating the perfect plan to make a surprise attack. Still, it was easier said than done. The fox might not be moving with life on the line, but the rest of the magical beasts were hindering his movements. And the situation turned even worse when he saw numerous monsters coming to him in unison. Oi, this is going to kill me, Evan screamed in despair, making the fox find the chance to strike him from the side. It was at this time Evan actually smiled as if his plan had succeeded. As soon as he sensed the small incoming object from the side, he turned around and shot immediately without aiming. If everything was according to his plan, the small fox should be right where he stopped, spot on. Evan grinned as he stopped right when the aim was on the fox. Bang! Because of the sudden increase of swiftness, the fox could only block the attack with its paw, sacrificing one of them to save his life. At the same time, the power of the bullet sent him flying. Evan continued to smile when he saw a flash coming from that direction as well. Go! A few minutes ago, huffed Kai started panting after everything was over, as he looked at the magical beasts that kept going in Evan's direction. They would soon arrive at his place, so he didn't have the time to wait for long. After catching up his breath, he used his sound blast to run as fast as possible, only to find Evan was surrounded by many beasts and barely pushed them away. With his pistol, without wasting a single second, Kai instantly leaped toward the leader, the Darwin fox that was trying to hunt Evan down. Ha! Kai slashed his sword forward, albeit was avoided by the fox. I thought you left first with the reason to let me grow or something. Sorry. There was another group coming for you, and the one that brought these magical beasts. Well, they had 3 intelligent beasts too, so it took longer than he expected. Kai apologized while making his way toward Evan to cover him. Evan also supported him so they could regroup. You sound like you have experienced something dreadful earlier. I was almost dead, you know. He let out a long sigh. Evan then realized Kai's burned hand. I see. I can understand that. I will heal you later. But our priority is, follow me. We are breaking through first to regain our ground. Kai nodded as he finally arrived before him before leaping again in another direction, trying to break through. Let's go. Evan nodded and aimed the gun toward the magical beasts behind them, slowing them down to not stop them from breaking through. As soon as they were outside the encirclement, Kai positioned himself between Evan and the magical beasts. The fox is hiding behind a magical beast. There might be a chance you are getting attacked, so be careful. Roger, Evan nodded. The two then began their last killing spree that lasted for around 20 minutes before they managed to annihilate every single beast. After that, Kai leaned back a nearby tree before falling on his butt, panting. This is harsh to think I will be this exhausted after just a few hundred beasts. Have I become weaker? No. I think it's due to the difference that the magical beasts have this time. True enough. They tried to drag me down together, but failed to do so. Kai nodded with a serious expression. If we were fighting against beasts like this in the future, we would need to be extra careful. I agree. It's tough, because you can't predict what kind of move they will make. Unlike the usual fighting style, they don't fear death, and their attack patterns are diversified since they can kill me in many ways just like that. It scares me to see how a desperate person comes at me in the future. Evan let out a long sigh. Anyway, we have finished here. After scanning this place, I don't think we need to help the army to do their job. We can go home then. Yes. And don't forget, we will spar. All of you are going to fight me. Kai smirked. I am looking forward to it. I don't know why you were so excited, but I guess it's fine. I just want to make sure you were able to cut down your girls. Evan glanced at him with a serious expression. If it were just a simulation world, I wouldn't have any hesitation. If it were real, I would have no hesitation as well, but it's them who stabbed me instead of me stabbing them. Kai smiled. As for you, I will mutilate you. Just kidding. Don't say a scary word like that. I know you will do it. Evan tried to retreat, as if he was scared of him. Ha ha! Kai laughed out loud. I think the pain is not there anymore. You can finish the rest of the treatment on the way. For now, let's get all the supplies first before returning to our camp. Sure. Evan nodded before rising back. Unbeknownst to them, there was a woman leaning on a tree while closing her eyes as if she was waiting for someone. Not long after that, a shadow appeared in front of her, and it turned out to be a walking shark. Are you sure about this? He asked. What are you talking about? She glanced at the shark with an innocent look. As soon as you returned after that war, you immediately came to the land again and taught all those magical beasts. At the same time, to think that you have started teaching every single intelligent beast, I am wondering whether you are sure to let them die just like that. Of course not. The ones who died in this place were sacrificial pawns. They were necessary to understand one thing. That human. No, I should call him by his name at this point, I guess. What I have learned during this meeting is Kai Carter's weakness. She smirked as if she thought something crazy. His weakness? Does he hold that much value? You have been in slumber this whole time, so you don't know our current plan yet. However, you know his value, right? His ears. The ears that can hear anything. Yes, humans are classifying it as a hearing enhancement, but they never know the real worth of that hearing ability. For a person having that ability, he holds three fates. The first is to lay low so we don't take advantage of his ability. The second is to surrender and swear his loyalty to us. The third is to die. But there is the fourth one. The shark narrowed his eyes. What is it? He is the one who has the last laugh. In other words, we lose. Are you on our side or on the human side? She narrowed her eyes. I am on your side, of course. And please call me a realist instead. I am always considering the worst possible thing that will happen in case everything fails. He let out a long sigh. The woman looked at him for a few seconds before putting down the matter. Either way, with the information rally by the magical beasts, we can get the report from them, including how he reacts. After all, he is not really chasing those who stay underground. As long as we send everything to the underground first and have them send the information, he won't know it's us. I agree. By the way, are you planning to take him down right now? We might be able to meet him and capture him since there are only two of them, and his teammate has healing magic instead of space magic. I think this is the best chance to get him, the shark asked politely. He already has a suspicion about this, so the moment we enter his hearing range, he is going to retreat. Don't forget the fact that he can remember someone's heartbeat, and he will surely recognize mine. As for you, I don't think you alone can catch him since he is so slick. Is that so? Either way, we have finished our original goal, so I guess it's fine. This kind of thing is possible only because they have defeated the spider too. Yeah. Unbeknownst to them, because they killed that spider, everything in this area is easier to control. Besides, he has killed many of us as of now, so I will try to get some hostages first to make him fall into despair. That is a bit hard, don't you say? His family is well protected, while those who are on the battlefield are great fighters on their own. It's fine. This is a long-term plan, and we also have our spies on their side. We can try to build up a little bit until the time comes. She smiled. For now, let's return. I have gathered enough data, I understand. The two then disappeared. Chapter 32:9 Report. Are you sure about that? Paolo and Erica dropped their jaws as soon as they listened to Kai's report. After finishing their mission, they decided to camp outside first to check the movement from the magical beasts before returning to the best the next morning. Luckily, the magical beasts had no drastic change, and the humans could proceed according to the plan. However, when they heard about the magical beasts becoming smarter, they were completely shocked, especially with the part where Kai specified their true aim. They would never expect that magical beasts could make a suicide attack, and they were the so-called leaders of magical beasts to boot. Have they evolved into something like a suicide squad? This question lingered in their minds for a long time. Even Kai couldn't make any conclusion due to how random it was. Paolo and Erica understood that as well and told him good work. After all, Kai almost died a few times already. Fortunately, he managed to turn around all the situations with his current ability. If he didn't have any improvement after this vacation, he would be in a dangerous situation. They were still in the middle of the report, as Kai was sitting in front of a round table, facing Erica and Paolo. Erica suddenly asked a question that might be too obvious for everyone else. Did they make an attack pattern like that just for you? From the information alone, it was easy how different they were between fighting him and Evan. When Evan helped Kai to grab the attention of the fox, it never used any suicide attacks. It kept sticking to the basics, as if everything had been programmed that way. However, it changed drastically when Kai appeared on the battlefield. It tried to injure or kill Kai with whatever he got, even if it meant sacrificing its own life. That was why Kai also drew the same conclusion as her regarding this pattern. I believe, yes. As expected, there is only one suspect, huh? Yes, without a doubt, it must be the works of the protectors. Still, I can't believe how they are actually using the magical beasts to make such an attack. Erica pinched the bridge of her nose, thinking this hard matter. But there is a possibility of them using the same tactic against normal soldiers after I leave, so please be careful about it, Kai warned her. I understand. All the soldiers will be notified by tomorrow. Although it's pretty obvious that the protectors are the ones behind this, is there still a possibility that a third party is the real perpetrator? Paolo asked, wanting to take this into account as well. There is indeed a possibility, but it's too low for our current situation. There are only two possibilities that the humans can teach magical beasts. They are either a special case, like having the ability to talk to an animal, or a zodiac, one that fails and turns into a partial magical beast instead. These two are the ones having the possibility of teaching them. Erica shook her head. I don't know about the former, but I have personally slain the latter, and it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. As much as I am ruthless to the enemies, I have realized from that day the fact that I have forsaken humanity in my heart. Instead of thinking of saving them first, I thought it would be better to kill them to end their misery. Kai let out a long sigh as he closed his eyes. Don't beat yourself like that. There is simply no medicine to cure them at the moment. Even your teacher might not be able to produce such a thing in at least 1 or 2 decades. After all, it's easy to fuse genetics, but it's hard to separate them, or at least that is the case for the current evolved genetics. That's what your teacher told me in the past. Erica shook her head and put on a gentle smile. Alex looked down. Anyway, we have no information about the former case. If we know there is a person that can talk to an animal, or, in this case, a magical beast, he or she will surely become famous. And the government won't sit still, Erica added. In that case, the only possibility is the protectors. Unfortunately, I didn't hear a single indication about them coming to the battlefield, so I guess they have trained them even before this fight. Kai narrowed his eyes. Little did he know that the protectors indeed came, but they stayed outside his hearing range. If Kai knew it, he might immediately call back up and pursue the magical beasts with Erica and Paolo. That's the only possibility. Erica arrived at the same conclusion. The magical beasts have been terrorizing us with their strong physical abilities. Although we have grown accustomed to their attack patterns and other things, the mortality rate is still above 30%, and there are still heavy injuries and disabilities. It boosts up to 50% in total. That's why we give them a huge compensation for their service. Highs. Many people come and go every single year. From the military academy alone, we have around 50,000 people joining every single year. If we add the 3,000 elites from the magical academy, it's still too low for the current rate. But don't we have civilians that apply for the positions? Kai asked. Yes, it's indeed a case like that. However, only a few of them are actually able to rise in power. A famous example of this will be Brad Matthew. He is the current highest power that rose in power despite starting from a mere soldier that had no knowledge or specialty at the start. Paolo nodded. Even I started as a military academy's graduate, while Erica hailed from the Sacred Magical Academy. Kai widened his eyes when he heard Brad Matthews' name from his mouth. Never in his wildest dream that Brad would be someone like that. But now that he thought about it, the reason why he was always so upset was due to his experience that raised from his rank, because he knew how hard it was to raise from the very bottom that he wanted to deny Kai's existence. And Kai believed that he had lost many comrades in arms in the past, so Brad didn't want him to experience something similar. I see. Kai's view of the man called Brad Matthew had changed when he realized all this, and he didn't want to make the former student council president reliant on his prestige because he must know that it would prove to be fatal when one charged against the enemies without having any real experiences. Anyway, is that all you notice? I guess. Kai hesitated for a few seconds, trying to recall every scene he found during the fight before nodding his head. They're trying to make such an attack. Well, there is one more thing. I met 3 intelligent beasts simultaneously, and they even attacked another intelligent beast just to kill me. So I assume the sacrifice is not limited to a normal beast. At the same time, their movement is a bit weird. I think it's better to see their movement again and check whether the current plan is still plausible. All right. We will take that into account and check their entire movement. If that's all, I think you can go home. Yes, thank you. By the way, I would inform my teacher about this as well. Kai nodded and rose from his seat. Sure. We will be the one dealing with the government side. Paolo nodded. You can go rest now and return after having lunch here. If you don't mind, you can even stay here for a little longer. Erica smiled. Aha, they are waiting for me, so I need to go back. Besides, I have a feeling that you will meet a few of the girls soon. Kai shook his head. The girls hadn't shown their plans for the upcoming training, but he guessed a few of them were trying to get enough real experience on the battlefield to increase their strength and efficiency. Some were going to strengthen their magic or invent new magic, and some were going to polish and consolidate their strength. As for the specific person who followed one of the 3 courses of action, he had no idea. He could only put the trust in the girls and met them again in 3 months to show their strength. I see. We are looking forward to meeting them. Erica nodded with a smile. Don't worry. They won't regret choosing this base for their training. With the current situation, I am hesitating whether to accept it or not. Kai let out a sigh. Well, there is still a week before anyone can join this base. I believe it's enough time to see whether the magical beasts have become smarter or not. Suppose you were their target. In that case, we would know the reason behind their change. You are going to use them to prove that. Kai slightly frowned. Didn't like the idea. Don't worry. Their safety will be our priority. In fact, if I'm mobilizing them like that, this guy will be the leader of that operation. Erica smiled while patting Paolo's shoulder. When he felt her tap, he immediately pumped his fist. Of course, I will ensure that. Although he still didn't like it, he knew it would be best to trust them in this matter. I understand. Please help whoever comes here, sure. Kai then left the room, heading back to their room to meet Evan. After talking about the necessity they needed to do and had lunch there, they finally flew back toward the US base, specifically their school. Chapter 3030. Shirotsuka Sanae. The next day, we are back. Evan and Kai arrived at school and greeted the girls as they seemed to have agreed upon something, especially with that serious look on their faces. When they saw these 2 guys, they immediately dragged Evan to another room. Alex could hear them saying, we needed to make a plan for the fight and so on. But when they discussed the real matter, they stopped talking. Kai could hear them typing something, but had no idea what they were writing about, so there was no chance of him knowing their plan. It seems the girls are going for a big plan this time. Shirotsuka Sanae, who never bothered about their matters, finally opened her mouth. Oh, I have almost forgotten you were here, teacher. Oi, I am still your instructor, you know. Well, I haven't been instructing you in your missions, so I can't really say anything. It's fine. I believe the group can get stronger faster this way. Kai nodded. Besides, you've been dealing with all the matter and equipment purchases for us, so we feel a bit bad. I can't really leech off you guys, so I need to work for my pay. Since practically, I've received 1/6 of what all of you are making every single month. It's far more than what I have done, so at least I should help you guys in any way. She shrugged. Kai looked at her with a weird expression, wondering if he heard it wrong. What? She found herself insulted when Kai put on an expression like this. He must be thinking something bad about her. Nothing. I am just impressed by the fact that you can say something like, working. It's true that I don't hate free money, but I am not a leech. She gently hit his head. Luckily, all of you don't have any grade problems. If you have one, I'm sure you are going to be laughed off. Absolutely, no. Should I fail you right now? She smirked as if she thought something brilliant. I mean, there were many rich people in the past that dropped out of school, so I am thinking of creating one myself. Kai twitched his eyebrows. And it will surely become a juicy topic when they know that the soon-to-be General Kai Carter suddenly drops out of school because his grades are atrocious. No. I am sure that it will cover the news if we have the teacher of Kai Carter actually don't want to do anything, but still get $1 million in a year. He grinned. Your mouth has evolved, huh? You too. Both of them smirked before brushing the joke aside with a laugh. Anyway, what I want to tell you is that the girls are planning something big. Even I don't know what it is. Or do you want me to be your operator during the fight? She smiled. That doesn't sound too bad. After all, I am at a big disadvantage in fighting them alone. Not only has Evan increased his attacking ability, but the others also have improved significantly. If I need to say, I would say that their chance to win is 60%. Oh, only 60%? You are pretty confident, aren't you? Kai shrugged. Well, there is a huge chance that the environment they're going to use for our mock battle is something dark, either the night or inside a building. This will boost Michelle's overall strength, since she will be the one holding me down. With the addition of Evan as a mid-range attacker, their position will be 2-2-2-1. Michelle and Ayaka will be the vanguards, while behind them are Evan and Sophia. If needed, Evan can go back to help Tasha on the very back, while Sophia can also launch a surprise attack by moving up. That will be a solid plan. At least, for me, Kai nodded before he felt something was amiss. That is your conclusion, when you believe that the place will be something that gives Michelle advantages, right? Kai fell silent as he realized that there would be many plans they could use in case they didn't pick a dark one. At the same time, their visions wouldn't be limited. Even with night vision, he believed that the other girls would have trouble fighting in the dark. Interesting. Do you want me to be your navigator? Yes, I hope you can help me in the fight, because I believe the chance of them winning this time is around 70% instead. Kai pinched the bridge of his nose as he stumbled across something interesting. This fight will be very different from any other fights you have, especially ones with magical beasts. They have the luxury to create a situation they prefer because of your arrogance. Why do you think it's a wise idea to give them the luxury to choose the area? Ahaha. I just wanted to give them the freedom to choose the battlefield, so they could create a concise plan, allowing them to go even further in this field. I hope in the future they could still make a similar plan even without me around them. Kai smiled, genuinely explaining his thoughts. Since you have a reason, I won't say anything. Rather than that, I have a concern about what you will do in your third year. You know that you are going to be in a 4-person team, right? Yes. With Sophia returning to her country and Tasha graduates, there will only be Michelle, Ayaka, and Evan left. And the fact that I have to leave in the first 3 months, where we need to adjust our positions with the new members, make me feel like stupid. He let out a long sigh. Don't worry about them. I might participate in a mission to move my body a little bit during that time. Sanai smiled, assuring that nothing would happen to them when he left for 3 months. Thank you, teacher. Kai bowed politely, showing his gratitude. It's fine. The problem is, the remaining 9 months. Are you going to have a new member, or just stay in this situation? I will probably go with a 4-man team until graduation. After that, I will go wherever Tasha is stationed and raise my rank there. Since you have a clear picture of your plan, I don't need to worry then. Well, I will surely get a huge cut if I supervise other than your group. You should start investing your money instead of splurging them in wine. I can't help it. Don't worry, I have been saving most of them. By the way, teacher, I might be going back to United Asia after graduation. Do you want to follow me? Are you going to fight the Katsuragi family or staying there peacefully? Sanai looked at him with a serious expression before letting out a long sigh. Never mind. I will go with you this time. I have a grudge against them as well. I will contact you about the details. Maybe a year later. Sure. As soon as he nodded, he found a message coming into his inbox, so he immediately opened it and read it. I have gotten and read through your report regarding this incident. This is something unprecedented because no one is able to train magical beasts. However, it doesn't mean that the magical beasts can't be trained. In fact, if you are considering police dogs or any other smart animals, you will realize that it's possible to train them. And according to the research that I've been reading, their brain is actually more developed than back when they were just a mere animal. However, if you are living back where people don't even know how to converse, you will realize that they are utter fools. They will slowly learn the words, efficient ways to fight, and other things. But this will only happen far in the future. The problem is, there is someone, possibly the protectors, who trains and increases their growth rate. This is a major problem for us, because we might find a beast talking in a human voice in a few years, and if the protectors are doing this in masses, they might be capable of creating an army that can lead thousands of magical beasts themselves to attack the base in an organized way. This is my current concern. The possibility is there, and the catalyst happens to increase it, and I believe if we don't solve this as soon as possible, humanity will face another big crisis like what we experienced during the apocalypse. All in all, I will cooperate with the government regarding this. Probably the scientists that have gotten closer to the truth are those who are on Easter Island. Due to the fact that they are dealing with magical things, I believe they will have some knowledge, and the government is currently researching magical places like Eastern Island. Either way, those people will probably return in a week or so, and the investigation will start. Don't worry, our training time won't be interrupted. Love you, my disciple. Kai fell silent when he read the last sentence. Even with the world crisis, she didn't care as long as she could mess with him. How should I say this? Congratulations. I mean, your teacher loves you so much. Love me so much that she can't wait to kill me a few more 1,000 times. That kind of love is too heavy. Kai let out a long sigh. Haha, that's your problem. In any case, I will be helping you during your mock battle in a few days. Shirotsuka Sanae then returned to her work and let out an aura that told him not to disturb her. Kai could only sulk alone and decided to read some research papers for his new magic. Chapter 331. Before the fight. After several days of planning, the time for the mock battle had come. Despite having Sanae's promise to be his navigator, the battle was still 1 versus 5. They finished their work for the last day first before driving to Michelle's house, borrowing the personal training room. Of course, Michelle had prepared everything, from 6 training capsules to the necessary data. When they entered the mansion and arrived in front of the house, an old man suddenly pushed open the door and leaped toward them. Oh, my granddaughter has brought my grandson-in-law home. The target of his hug was obviously Kai. Instead of dodging, Kai decided to use his oscillation shield to stop him, and Nathan ended up crashing into it. You must be so shy, Nathan pouted. I am not. Please act according to your age. Why do I need to do that when it's not necessary? It won't give me money or anything. Instead, there is this research that if you are acting like a certain younger age, you can live longer. I am planning to live long enough until I see my great-grandchildren. Kai couldn't rebuke him again as he only let out a sigh. Anyway, I think you have read the report, right? Are you talking about the fight or the intelligent beasts? If you were talking about the latter, I have sent the order for investigation. Or Michael has. If it's the former, I am wondering why you are so cruel to want to kill your own wife, he sobbed. Quit your acting. Kai scratched the back of his head. It's just a mock battle. It's not like we're fighting for different reasons. Oh, are you talking about family fights that end up in divorce? Wait a minute. Don't tell me you are the guy who will answer the question, what is the reason for a divorce with marriage? Right, the answer is true though. But no, I am not that kind of person. Why are you even asking right now? Haven't you seen enough already? I am not going to change drastically in a short period of time. Ahem. Suddenly, someone's voice was heard from behind as Michael showed his appearance. Father, you should stop bothering him. What if he becomes too bothered with your action and ends up leaving your granddaughter? I will chase him to the end of the world and tie him up. After that, I will use an aphrodisiac and make them do the deed. Nathan answered with a serious expression, as if he would do that for real. I shouldn't ask that. Michael was completely speechless to face this old man. And I somehow can't picture you bringing our 5,000 soldiers that are scattered all around the base to chase him down. You are truly my son. You can even know my exact thought. Anyway, I think the kids can't really stay for too long because they're not going to stay for the night. That's why it's better to let them finish their battle first before talking like this. Ah, yeah. Now I am taking back my words from earlier. Are you really my son? Yes, I am. I know you are planning to buy time long enough until it has become too late for them to go back to their home and end up staying for the night. Michael twitched his eyebrows, starting to become irritated. I am taking back my words. Are you not tired talking like that? Father, nope. Nathan stuck out his tongue playfully. What? I am not dignified. It's fine. I don't care about my personal image anymore. As for the image of the Graham family, you are the one who needs to keep it. Ugh. Michael was hopeless to fight this shameless old man. Even Kai could only shake his head, not knowing how to help him. At the same time, Michelle had been fuming inside this whole time as she suddenly grabbed her grandfather's collar from behind and dragged her. I'm going to talk to this old man. Give me 15 minutes. Oh, my granddaughter, how can you do this to your grandfather? Look at your cousins. They respect this grandfather of yours. I will be leaving this household when I am married. She gritted her teeth and complained as she kept dragging him inside. I will keep visiting you. I need to play with my great-grandchildren. Even Kai has become 4-star generals. The great-grandchildren can't escape from me. You are the bad influence. After that conversation, their voices couldn't be heard anymore. Michael Graham looked at them awkwardly. I apologize for his behaviors. He is just a family man back in the home, so you will see it every now and then. He let out a long sigh. Anyway, waiting for my daughter to correct my own father, it's better to make the last preparation for your mock battle. What do you think? Sure. Kai nodded. Even though they had yet to fight, his energy was already drained. Meanwhile, the one who got shocked the most was none other than Sophia. Kai, Ayaka, Tasha, and Sanai had gotten their share of a surprise last year, while Evan had seen him every now and then before Sophia came. When Sophia found how he acted, she compared it to the one she met this whole time. Nathan Graham would surely throw some sarcasm to her every time he got a chance. That was why this transformation completely blew her mind. Kai and the others entered the room. Evan patted her shoulder, smiled weirdly, and shrugged his shoulder, telling her that she didn't need to mind that much. She ended up switching her brain off and just forgot about the earlier Nathan, so she could keep her focus on the battle. By the way, I have inserted every single data that you need in the main computer, and Shirotsuka Sanae can help you by giving you navigation about the terrain and such. Michael led them through a few corridors. You don't mind if we are watching, right? Yeah, it's fine. Kai nodded. At the end of the door was a thick wooden door. Even though it looked like a wooden door, when Michael opened it, its true appearance was revealed. It turned out to be a thick 2 meters metal door. As soon as they entered, they found a white room with some sort of machinery. In the corner of this spacious room were 10 capsules. We have a mock battle 5 versus 5 sometimes. Yeah, he is telling the truth. A woman suddenly walked in and headed toward one of the machines. Auntie. Kai immediately bowed politely when he saw her appearance. It's been a while, dear. We haven't really met each other since you were dealing with this formal guy or that idiotic father. She smiled. Ahaha, both of them have their own quality. Indeed. This formal and stiff guy is cute in a sense. He is smart as well. She smiled before explaining. I will be handling all the necessary support and data assessment during the fight. You don't mind, right? Now that you mention it, I almost forgot that Auntie's job was an operator. Yeah, I used to support this guy who always used the tactic in the book and never showed any unique and daring strategy. Well, it was easier to recap anyway. Can you not tell them that? Michael scratched his head again, not wanting the kids to know as he would get embarrassed. Fine, good old days. Anyway, your teacher can use that screen to understand the terrain when it's built. I can't really give you the picture yet since the match has yet to officially start. She pointed her finger toward a machine. I understand. Sanai nodded politely and headed toward her station. Daisy Graham then activated the capsules before glancing at the 2 people that just entered the room. It was Michelle and Nathan. To their surprise, Nathan had this big tape on his mouth, preventing him from talking while he was walking with ropes circling his body, so he wouldn't create a mess. One thing that appeared in their mind was the fact that there were ropes in their house. It raised a question in their mind. Where does she get the rope? Bondage? Tasha was the first to comment. No. It is my grandfather's prevention measure. It's fine, Michelle. I have known that you have a heavy taste. From our first meeting alone, you have warned me to change, unless I want you to kill me. Ayaka corrected her, as if trying to pity her. But won't that target us? Tasha glanced at her with teasing eyes. No, it's probably for this guy. Ayaka pointed her finger at Kai. That's if you can beat him in this match first, right? He won't accept to do it voluntarily. Tasha smirked as she shook Ayaka's hand and said, Let's go then. Yes. The 2 then entered the capsules without waiting for Michelle to correct their words. Evan patted Kai's shoulder and immediately entered the capsule without a word, while Sophia only shook her head disappointedly and did the same. I will accept everything about you. Kai looked at her weirdly before walking to his own capsule. No, dear, it's your loss. Just accept it and get inside there. Daisy smiled. Ugh, Michelle looked down, dejected, and slowly made her way toward the capsule. After that, Daisy activated the machine and informed them. "Here we go. You will be teleported in 3, 2, 1, and go." Kai heard it and closed his eyes. As soon as the count reached 0, he was teleported inside the realm they created. A chill breeze brushed his body as his mind was jolted by the coldness as he immediately looked at his surroundings. It was a forest that was covered in snow. The snow itself wasn't really that deep, but for him, who had sound blast, shouldn't be a problem, since he could simply walk above the sound blast instead of having his feet buried by snow. As for the time setting, it was obviously at dusk. Michelle would soon have the advantage, and they could still have their sight for a period of time. Still, this type of environment never appeared even in his wildest dream, and he couldn't help but shout, "Seriously?" Chapter 332, Plan. "Now, it's time to fight." Kai smiled, planning to buy time for the avalanche to get down. Tasha suddenly appeared again, as the others regrouped with her almost instantly, as though they had planned this. Ayaka flew to the sky, while Tasha teleported the others to the top of the mountain, free from the avalanche. "Since you like it that much, I will let you have fun with it alone," Tasha smirked as they disappeared. Tch! Kai realized he was getting tricked by them. They, in fact, wanted him to create this avalanche himself, especially because Tasha stayed on top of the hill. Just the possibility of her creating this alone already forced him to make a move first. And if he went to the sky, he would face Ayaka that was ready to blow him back to the ground. At the same time, Sophia created a slide toward the bottom right above the avalanche. Michelle also rode that slide while activating her shadow possession, boosting her power. Meanwhile, Evan seemed to follow the slide, but by running on the snow instead to maintain his speed. It was obvious that he tried to use the avalanche to create a cover for him, so Kai didn't break through and hit him. Kai looked at Ayaka above him and used his sound blast. Ayaka's face turned serious as she created a magic circle between them, trying to blow him away. Scarlet Explosion, Sound Blast. Kai decided to use 2 sound blasts. The first one flew toward the explosion, penetrating Ayaka's fire, albeit he found that the shockwave was entirely engulfed by that. Knowing the power of the shockwave was not enough to penetrate that blast, he used the second sound blast to launch him in another direction, avoiding the fire. Lightning Piercer. Tasha released her arrow before it suddenly sped up by turning it into a lightning bolt. Kai realized that the speed was far faster than him using the sound blast. He shifted his body slightly to the side, dodging this arrow, but it was Ayaka's turn to attack him. She went around her own explosion and struck the arrow using the momentum just like a baseball. The arrow flew toward him again while she swung her spear in another direction. Because of this, Kai was forced to use both swords to stop these 2 attacks. However, this might probably be the first time he experienced Ayaka's real power. Although it wasn't that far, it managed to win against his strength that had been boosted by the exoskeleton. Kai obviously didn't let this go according to their way. When he spun in the air, he didn't forget to stretch his right foot to the side and kicked Ayaka. Her fire wings suddenly closed up, protecting her body from the kick, but the power was still enough to blow her to the ground. Unwilling to go down without a fight, Ayaka created a fire net behind him. With that signal, Sophia made a magic circle as hundreds of small ice cubes flew toward Kai. The amount was also enough to send all of them in all directions other than Kai's back. At first, Kai could escape from the fire net by launching himself at Ayaka before striking her. Due to these ice cubes, he only had one way to go. It was to the front, where Michelle waited for him. If he went to the right, the left would also chase him from behind and vice versa. The same applied to the bottom and top. The only way he didn't need to worry about the ice coming from behind was to go forward. Without a doubt, he needed to fall right into their trap. Kai gritted his teeth and used his sound blast while using his oscillation shield to block all the ice cubes from the front. As soon as he went out of that trap box, Michelle appeared before him as she swung her sword. Kai used his vibration sword, but ended up making a sound oscillation shield instead. When the sword struck, her shadow slash went around the magic circle, slashing it into pieces. At the same time, Kai waved his sword toward her, trying to use the most vulnerable moment to inflict damage to Michelle. Michelle easily put her swords in front of her to stop that attack. They never fought against each other anyway, so they didn't know whether Kai's vibration sword or Michelle's shadow slash would win if both clashed. However, what she never expected suddenly happened. Her vision was suddenly shaking as she miscalculated the distance and the direction for a split second. She immediately pulled back because of that, but it was too late. Kai's sword had arrived, creating a quite deep graze on her right arm while using the other sword to slash in a completely different direction where he suddenly heard a gunshot. "Oi, oi! You are very merciless to me," Michelle pouted. "I am the first to get injured. Doesn't that mean you are the weakest one?" Kai smirked. "What did you say?" The one who shouted this wasn't Michelle. Instead, it was Nathan. "You bastard. How dare you hurt my granddaughter first? You should hit that Sophia first before hitting the others." Nathan usually watched this in silence. It was just he couldn't ignore the last thing he said, which completely destroyed her father chill. "He is only taunting her," Michael restricted him. "Even if he doesn't mean it, he can't say it." "I need to beat that bastard, let me join," Nathan shouted. "I will teach that little bastard father. Silent or leave." Daisy stopped him as she said with a cold voice. She had complete control in this room because no one could enter without her operating the machine. If Nathan actually went inside, she could make him stay in a certain world in their database for a period of time. In other words, he wouldn't be able to watch this fight anymore. Knowing all of that, he looked down and closed his mouth. Daisy smiled. "Just watch the fight first." He nodded as Michael finally released him. Meanwhile, Kai was searching for an escape route as it was completely dangerous for him to fight them without a trick. "Teacher, can you hear me?" Kai asked. "Yes, I can hear you. Do you need anything? When is the avalanche going to arrive?" "Right below me." Calculating. "It's 70 seconds, thanks." Kai nodded before assessing his situation once again. With Tasha sniping him from afar, fighting in the sky would be a foolish move. However, the others were trying to keep him in the air as long as possible, so it might be their strategy. Tasha released another arrow to the sky, which turned into a magic circle. A lightning bolt then struck forth. Kai used his sound blast to avoid this. It was annoying to keep dodging this, because Tasha's attacks were mostly to make him unable to dodge another strike. In other words, it purely tried to restrict his movement. Even if he knew the attack would strike with his hearing ability, it was still hard to avoid it. Kai thought for a moment and saw Sophia sending a few big ice spikes toward him. At the same time, Evan mixed his attack in the gaps between the ice spike, and there was even Tasha's lightning piercer. Everything was mixed into that combination attack, making the attack even more complicated in Kai's ears. Not only that, he could see Ayaka preparing another scarlet explosion that would surely blow him away when he was busy dodging their attacks. There was still 20 seconds before the avalanche arrived, so he needed to stay in the air for that period of time before going down, since it would be a more effective way to destroy these 5 people. Even so, dodging these attacks to maintain his position would be a bad decision, so he decided to retreat. Scarlet explosion. Boom. An explosion suddenly occurred on top of his head, preventing him from going up to escape. This way, he would either go to another place to escape or fight them on the ground. To their surprise, Kai decided to go for something more extreme and unpredictable. He used both Sound Blast and Oscillation Shield before charging at the incoming attacks. The Oscillation Shield broke when Tasha's Lightning Piercer hit it, and his Sound Blast broke after successfully deflecting the bullet. Unfortunately, it shattered the edge of the magic circle, so he couldn't use it anymore. Due to that, he used his Vibration Sword instead to block all of these and failed to block one of Evan's bullets, piercing his right arm. After checking it was alright, he finally broke free from the combination attack and headed straight to Evan, their weakest link. Not good. Sophia immediately leaped to space between them to stop Kai. "You are going to move." Kai took a deep breath as he swung both swords. "I didn't do this to our last battle, but I don't mind killing you today." Sophia saw the incoming vibration swords and smiled. "Is that so? Then try me." A pair of huge ice hands suddenly formed from her back as it tried to flatten Kai. When he saw this, Kai simply used his Sound Blast to get past through it. "Got you." Sophia smiled as she already threw her punch from below. She already moved even before Kai used his Sound Blast, as though she believed Kai would do something like that. Kai looked down at the hand that almost reached him. To her surprise, Kai suddenly smiled and said, "No, you. Chapter 334. Cut, nope." He stuck his tongue out. Sophia was confused for a split second, and a magic circle already appeared right in front of her stomach. For her, who was focused on Kai's face, she almost missed this one and was too late to react. The moment she realized it, she'd been blown away by the magic circle that turned out to be his sound blast. It launched her toward the avalanche, and she somehow ended up crashing right before the avalanche. Not wanting to get swallowed, she created an ice wall that would protect her from this avalanche. Bam! A loud noise reverberated in everyone's ears as it hit Sophia's ice wall. Suddenly, Kai appeared again right next to her as she instinctively raised her guard to avoid any sort of attacks from Kai. The latter obviously knew this and ignored her instead. He then slashed the ice wall and paved his own path to go through the avalanche before using his sound blast to fly toward Evan. "Evan, come here." Kai smirked. Ayaka immediately flew to the sky to protect Evan, while Michelle created a rope from shadow and attached it to Ayaka's hand as she got carried to the sky, heading straight toward Kai. Sophia also rose back up and summoned her ice again. Due to her advantageous position, Tasha already released 2 arrows to stop Kai in his tracks. Unfortunately, without the help of the others, she had no chance to hit him. Kai created an oscillation shield to block the arrow as he made his way toward Evan without decreasing his speed. Wait, what? No. It's not fair. Evan shot a few times before turning around and running away from Kai. Wait, Kai, defeat the others first. Don't go by the book. Even without the book, it's normal to eliminate the weakest link first. Come here, Evan. Kai smirked as he got closer and closer toward Evan. Michelle and Ayaka also arrived not far from him, but Kai should be able to hit Evan 1 or 2 times, depending on Sophia's ice magic spread. Sophia gritted her teeth and created a giant ice wall that separated Kai and Evan. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to stop him. Due to the distance between them, the power behind this ice wall had been significantly reduced, so Kai punched it, crushing the wall in one punch. To everyone's surprise, Evan didn't use this chance to get a bit more distance. Instead, he turned around and shot a few times, believing that Kai would make such a move. When she saw this, Tasha teleported to Evan's side and created another one to retreat. However, Kai didn't let this chance go and snapped his finger. Lullaby. Ding! The high-pitched voice burst everyone's ears. Even though Tasha had got the hang of it due to the continuous usage, it still slowed her activation speed down, giving Kai an opportunity to catch up. Seeing Kai had arrived right before him, Evan aimed his pistol with one hand, while using his other hand to send a punch from another direction. Tasha also aimed at his neck, so it was 3 attacks versus his 2 swords. Kai only smiled and waved his left sword while creating one oscillation shield to block Evan's bullet and his punch. As for Tasha's arrow, he planned to stop it with his right hand. Evan ended up retracting his hand to avoid it from being cut, while his bullet got destroyed by Kai's shield. Meanwhile, Kai saw Tasha's arrow and cut it into 2 before using the same sword to strike Evan's hand that was holding a pistol. But to his surprise, the one that cut his hand was the left hand instead. Just like his punch, the first swing was a fake. The real aim was to cut him with this kind of attack. Teach, I lose in terms of experiences. Evan clicked his tongue and caught his pistol before shooting Kai with his remaining hand. He didn't forget to apply his magic to stop the bleeding, allowing him to fight even longer. This might be the perfect chance to kill Evan, but Kai suddenly spun his body around, using the practically untouched right sword to strike 2 shadows that appeared from behind. Clank, Michelle, and Ayaka had caught up. Evan decided to make a distance and retreat with Tasha's teleportation. Kai saw this as another opportunity. When he clashed his blade with Ayaka's spear, he realized that his vibration sword didn't do much damage, which baffled him. Luckily, he obliterated Michelle's shadow sword, or else he would start doubting the power of his own strongest attack. I have asked your teacher about the protector's skin material and upgraded my spear according to that spec. Although it was only a concept, this still couldn't be considered cheating, right? Ayaka smiled. Kai only frowned and decided to use a different approach. He struck the handle of her spear instead of the blade, wondering if she had strengthened that part as well. But it turned out she had. Michelle, on the other hand, realized that her shadow slash was the one losing against Kai's vibration sword. She then decided to use another plan to hold him back: shadow manipulation. She summoned her and Kai's shadows. Her shadow was to create another attack power, while Kai's shadow was to stop his movement. Unfortunately, Kai already saw this through. After confirming the emerging shadow behind him, he slashed it without even bothering to look. Deech! She gritted her teeth and summoned a wall behind him instead, trying to make him change direction. At the same time, Ayaka used her fire net to stop him from going to the left, while Sophia summoned a huge ice roof. This way, Kai only had two choices: beat Ayaka and Michelle first, or went to the last direction where Tasha and Evan waited for him to release their shots. Kai glanced at the ice wall and realized it was constructed in a way it would be able to hold down in case he destroyed the foot of the ice wall. Instead, the construction looked like a table with 4 legs, so it was futile to destroy it. As for Ayaka's fire net, it was the only one to have no opponents. Not only was the fire net extremely hot, but it was a strong net because it could even catch a 10-ton beast. This way, he needed to create an escape route to break through Michelle's shadow wall, which was obviously the weakest. It was at this time Michelle went inside Ayaka's shadow and boosted her strength. Hee hee. Ayaka smiled as she then started back and forth while thrusting her spear continuously with the speed of wildebeest. With her current spear, Kai's vibration sword was useless for a period of time. This would be the perfect time to fight him one-on-one. Ayaka engaged him with close-quarter combat, not allowing him to escape until Sophia, Tasha, and Evan had regained their ground. Kai gritted his teeth, knowing that their power was basically the same due to Ayaka's momentum in each blow. Frustrated by her, he summoned a magic circle underneath her feet, ready to launch her to the sky. However, like when she was inside Kai's shadow, Michelle informed Ayaka that small detail, allowing her to step back before getting launched into the air. Oops. Ayaka stuck her tongue out. Kai didn't let her go and tried to strike from above before glancing at the right. If he continued his swing, Tasha's arrow would hit it to the point it would blow him away. This is not going to work, Kai muttered inwardly as he used his other hand to attack her from the side. Since Tasha was going to take care of the one above her head, she poured all her strength to block the sword from the side. Bang! The clashing sound was so loud to the point it looked like there was an explosion. She then pressed that sword down, albeit got overwhelmed by Kai right after. It wasn't a strange phenomenon, since her strength was that of a normal human. In other words, that strength was useless unless she had momentum, and Kai took advantage of this, ignoring Tasha's arrow. The moment it hit her spear, it sent a shock to her body before Kai continued the swing, knowing that Tasha aimed at his sword instead of his life. There was no probability that she would hit him, so Kai prepared himself and acted at this very moment. He tried to cut Ayaka's left hand, which would surely decrease her power exponentially. Each blow was powerful, to the point she barely protected herself from this swing. Tasha's arrow finally came, even though she didn't send anything earlier. The lightning arrows hit the sword again and again, surprising even Kai. Did she predict my movement? Kai asked inwardly before using this chance to step forward, entering Ayaka's attack range. He didn't plan to let Ayaka recover, and used this chance to give big damage to her. I will take this one. Kai smiled and waved his sword toward Ayaka's left arm. This should decrease her strength by far if he succeeded. Sophia, who had been waiting this whole time, finally created 2 magic circles, one on the ground and one on the air. Stop what you are doing. Sophia summoned a big cage of ice that should be powerful enough to stop Kai's swing at least once. The latter suddenly placed his other sword on top of the sword he wanted to use to cut Ayaka's arm to give a big boost in strength, and ultimately cut it. What did you say? Kai smirked. Slashing her arm is a capital crime. Execute. She activated the second magic circle as around 200 ice needles surrounded him completely. With how limited the space to move in the cage, it would be hard for Kai to escape this. Chapter 335. Plan E. Seeing so many small spikes surrounding him while the cage held him in place, there was no way he could leave this place. At the same time, the cage itself was created with bars, so without slashing it twice with both swords in all different directions, he couldn't create an opening before the spike hit him. Kai gritted his teeth, feeling that he might require a sacrifice for this. He analyzed all the needles for a second as they flew toward him. "Take this," Sophia grinned. "This is my payback." Kai calculated the impact and immediately used his chance to deactivate his vibration sword and spun the cage as the bar struck down every single needle. "Haha, you might need a bigger cage to trap me. And don't forget to connect it to the ground so I can't spin it." Kai laughed before shouting, "Tasha, I know what you are trying to do." Tasha smiled and released her arrow without thinking much about what he said. The arrow was unlike Sophia's needles that only randomly flew at him. Tasha had calculated everything, including the spin. The arrow flew past the cage, and Kai noticed it in disbelief. He shifted his body to the side and gritted his teeth. Ah! It was too late. The arrow pierced him in the right forearm. "Oh, Kai, you shouldn't underestimate your sister so much. That kind of spin is not enough to stop my eyes and arrow. Isabel should be able to do something like this." Tasha laughed. "Our archer is damn too good." Kai didn't think about it that much, as he just realized how skilled the one supporting them from behind was. "Haha. Do I get anything since I am the first one who hit you?" She laughed out loud. "I will think about it, probably." Kai laughed too while enduring the pain before throwing the cage away towards Sophia's direction. Ice wall. She immediately created a wall to stop the cage. Kai took this chance to go towards Sophia since her vision was covered. Sophia, Michelle, and Ayaka shouted, "I can see him." Sophia replied as she looked at the hiding giant energy ball that represented Kai She, created another magic circle, planning to hit him with this magic. However, Kai had predicted this as he summoned his sound blast. Sophia's eyes could only see someone's danger level, so he couldn't really see if that person currently used magic or not. When the sound blast launched him to the side, she was completely taken aback. Evan widened his eyes as he screamed, "No! Why the heck are you targeting me again? Come here, Evan." Kai laughed as he shocked Sophia, Ayaka, and Michelle at the same time. Rather than cutting Sophia, who seemed to be the perfect target to eliminate, he aimed at Evan first. No. He aimed at him and released a couple of bullets, only to not a single bullet to hit. It was at this time Tasha suddenly appeared beside Evan, planning to rescue him with her teleportation magic. When he saw this, there wasn't a shocked face. He simply smiled as though he had predicted everything. "Wait, he is..." Evan suddenly recognized his plan this whole time and looked at Tasha. Too late. Kai created another magic circle he had prepared earlier. It was his sound blast. The magic launched him like a bullet, traveling at his maximum speed. "Targeting you." Evan finished his sentence, but it was already too late. Despite the magic circle that slowly formed underneath them, Kai almost reached their position. "I can't make it." Tasha had no words to say. It turned out that his real target was her all along. Because she was the only one who could see his movement at that time, she reacted this way to protect Evan, only to find herself getting targeted instead. She created an arrow in her hand while swinging both arrow and bow, trying to strike him down. Unfortunately, no matter how experienced she was, her place was never in this place. She planned to challenge Kai in close combat. That might probably be the last thing she wanted to do. And yeah, it wasn't like she had an option. Kai struck her bow and arrow simultaneously as the swords continued on their paths, slashing Tasha. "Nice fight," she smirked while closing her eyes. Her body soon disappeared from the battlefield, as her consciousness went back to her real body. Meanwhile, Kai swung his sword toward Evan, but Ayaka and Michelle already appeared next to him, protecting him from the sword. Michelle's shadow slash was behind Ayaka's enhanced spear, so she was there to give support for Ayaka. When he saw this, Evan released another sword, forcing Kai to leap backward. They had a distance from each other again. Kai fell silent as he didn't like how things were going. He realized that fighting against all of them was very taxing for his magic power and his mental strength. Not only that he needed to avoid all their attacks, but he also needed to find a perfect time to kill them. Luckily, he managed to eliminate Tasha first, so there wouldn't be any more teleportation. In other words, they had no chance to run away from him. Icefield. The ground began freezing and created a quite huge freezing arena that seemed to be advantageous for them since they had trained for this. Kai used his sound blast first to fly to the sky, not wanting to be frozen at that spot. "No, you won't escape." Ayaka used her fire wing to catch up with him, trying to best his speed so she could hit him back to the ground. Unfortunately, Kai's sound blast gave a more powerful boost that let him escape. Ice Mountain. Sophia had been waiting for this moment and immediately activated her magic, creating a slide that went toward the sky like a tower. Michelle nodded as her sword already hit the tower and sent a shadow slash toward Kai. The ice then started expanding to the sky, trying to catch up with him. It's faster than Ayaka's speed, Kai muttered in a low voice before he used another sound blast to avoid this attack. Ayaka didn't let him and summoned a few fireballs that turned into birds. The birds flew toward him in all directions before he used his sound blast a few more times to avoid them. Suddenly, he realized that every single time he avoided this, the firebirds turned around. In other words, Ayaka must be directing them manually. With that in mind, he planned to visit her first, especially since she only had one arm. Ayaka looked at him and smiled. "I know you are coming." A fire net suddenly appeared between them. Michelle and Sophia, on the ground, nodded at each other. An ice wall emerged from the ground and hit right their feet, launching them into the sky. Shadow manipulation. Michelle activated her magic again after getting close enough. Kai's shadow became alive once again, trying to stop his movement in the air. At the same time, Sophia wanted to stop his movement by using the same ice cage like the one from a while ago. This time, she didn't forget to add the bottom to make sure Kai couldn't escape. Ayaka then thrust her spear forward. Kai dodged to the side before finding something wrong with her spear. Magic bomb. Ayaka smiled as the tip of her spear exploded. The cage fell down while being covered in smoke. They stared at this silently before Sophia shouted, "Not good, he is still alive." Kai cut the cage and retreated a few meters back while smiling. He panted a little bit as the symbol of them pushing him this hard. "What is funny?" Michelle furrowed her eyebrows, feeling something was wrong with his smile. "Nothing. I just know how the Protector felt when they fought us. Although this can be considered praise, don't be complacent. I have no tough skin like the Protectors that make me keep moving to avoid your attacks. On the other hand, the Protector is like a fortress, so there is no need to avoid any weak attacks. But I can see our progress. I still remember how weak we were in the past, and I can proudly say that we have been through a lot." Kai smiled. "Indeed, that's why you shouldn't feel too proud right now. We are coming for your neck," she smirked. Such an ominous phrase, especially coming from my own girlfriend. Kai looked sad and wronged. "Quit your acting. You have defeated Tasha first, so you are the last one who can lecture me about that." She shrugged before raising her hand. "Plan C. So, you have several plans." Kai smiled as he saw the other three started moving according to their plan. "Since you have been quite a rascal, I will tell you. You are going down with this. The wound that Tasha gave reduced the performance of your right arm, so just surrender while you can. If you have plan C, I have plan E." Kai laughed. "You are still joking around. Kill him now." Michelle decided to stop listening to his bullshit and end this fight, because Kai must be buying time this whole time. No, I seriously have plan E." Kai shrugged as he saw the three moved at the same time. Evan went toward Michelle's behind as he planned to attack him from there. Sophia and Ayaka occupied his two sides, while Michelle walked toward him. "Why don't you explain to me your plan E?" She smiled with pleasure. "In fact, it's pretty simple." A magic circle suddenly appeared right in front of his feet. "Wah!" Michelle suddenly realized what he was aiming for and shouted, "Stop him!" Too late. Kai stepped on his magic circle and flew to the sky while looking at them. "My plan E is simple. Escape by, have a good day. Some dismants." Chapter 336. A new equipment with his current position. Kai ran away in the direction where they came from. In other words, it was toward the other party's base. Because he knew that the entire map was a trap to stop him from using his ability, he decided to use their own base that must have no trap in it. After all, with them closing in and Tasha's ability, there wasn't a need to do something like that. Unfortunately, Tasha had been taken away, and he realized the change in their plan. The lack of sharpness from their original plan couldn't escape his eyes, so he chose to do this, creating a big advantage for himself. "Teacher, can you give me the layout of their starting point again?" Kai asked Shirotsuka Sanae. At the same time, He kept track of the 4 people who chased him with their fastest speed. They kept sending him their attacks while moving as fast as possible, but their speed couldn't keep up with him, so there was a considerable distance between them for a period of time, giving leeway for Kai to observe their position. Sure. She sent the image immediately while looking at Tasha's concerned face. Is this battle already lost because I died earlier? Tasha gritted her teeth and clenched her fists, blaming herself. It's not your fault, you have done your best. Sanai comforted her. No. If this girl uses her space element in a better way, I believe she can conclude the fight herself. Nathan snorted. You know that I have no plan in using my space magic, right? She narrowed her eyes. Besides, it's not like you know the extent of my space magic. It's true that I don't know anything about your space magic, but I do know that the stone in Easter Island took you in because of your space element. With how you described the stone to me, I could roughly understand his strength. In other words, your space magic will give you twice, if not thrice, your current power. Am I wrong? Nathan's face turned serious. Tasha didn't answer him since she couldn't rebuke his claim. It was indeed as he said. After getting trained by Rapaka, her most powerful skill was neither her bow nor lightning magic. Instead, it would be her space magic. Although she could only use 1 or 2 things he taught her, that alone was enough to turn around the situation. However, she desired nothing but a peaceful life with him. The moment her space magic became open for everyone to see, it would be where she lost her freedom. After all, this strength was as dangerous as Kai's brain and unorthodox magic. Even though the others were here, she still couldn't believe Sophia 100%, as Sophia would surely report her space-no-ceiling magic to the EU base. When they heard it, they would start inviting her like Kai. If they were alone, they wouldn't have much of a problem. Unfortunately, they had their parents who didn't have any ability to fend off this kind of storm. That was why she held back her desire and kept using her lightning magic, even if it meant she didn't use her ability to the fullest. She just needed to wait a bit more until everyone was strong enough. And if Kai had become a general, it wouldn't be that easy to target their family. Nathan understood this well and stayed silent, giving up the joke that might turn into a huge debate. Either way, the situation remains the same. If your group doesn't have any plans lying around, they will start falling down sooner or later. Nathan glanced at her. Tasha bit her lips and kept looking at the screen. Sanai shrugged. I am not going to tell him what we are talking about. Tasha glanced at her and let out a long sigh. Even so, I can't really say anything about our plan. It's true that with me out of the picture, they will go with plan C, but they will become like a turtle when the prey escapes. And that's the current situation. Besides, I don't really trust you, teacher. You can simply activate the microphone and let him listen to the conversation himself, so your point is still valid. That's why it's impossible to get any information from me. Tasha shook her head. Sanai made a weird smile as she turned her microphone off. In my defense, the microphone has been staying alive from the start of the fight, and I have promised to be his operator for this mission, so I am just doing my job. See, Tasha shrugged before letting out a long sigh. The rest will depend on 4 of them. Seeing that she couldn't get any information from Tasha, she returned to her own screen, waiting for Kai's next instruction. Meanwhile, Kai kept studying the terrain. Unlike the other terrains, this one was similar to a plain, but with more trees. However, it didn't reach the point it could be called a forest. He went through a few pictures before finding it odd. He couldn't find a place where they would plant a trap. It seemed they didn't prepare for this, so he kept moving toward their base with his full speed. When he reached there, they had a 2-minute gap. Kai utilized those 2 minutes to check the surroundings, wondering if there was a trap or not. Only one woman needed to be feared in this type of area. It was Ayaka. Her magic bomb wouldn't be spotted, so as long as they knew where they planted the magic bombs, they would be fine. Kai thought there must be a single mark around the area, so they knew where to avoid and hit. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough time to do this, let alone making a full investigation. The only thing he could do was to do a quick survey before asking, "Is there any information about the magic power in the area?" None. We are able to measure the magic power in the air due to an instrument. However, it's like when you try to check nuclear radiation, so the area is too small. So there is no equipment to do it yet. In other words, there is no data that can be applied to scan the area. Kai sighed. Yes. Sinai nodded. Nathan frowned and nodded a few times. Now that you mention it, I believe this type of thing is needed, and if possible, make it so the satellite can scan this. There was once research about this, but it kept failing until it was shut down, because no one knew how to make equipment that could scan an entire globe. However, if we scale it down like an area, maybe a small town, I think this type of instrument is good. What do you mean, Father? Michael couldn't help but ask. There is a spy in the base, right? Ah, Michael drew a gasp as he nodded with a serious expression. Do you want to measure a whole area at a time? Yes. It's fine if we make it like a radar interface, allowing us to investigate one's magic power. This is a dangerous weapon, because many families will surely use this to bring someone with huge magic power. But if we can keep this as a government tool for at least 100 years, I believe it's enough for us to utilize it to its limit. Michael thought for a moment and added, after that, we can find someone with a very powerful magic power that can be either a talented person or spies. Most likely, magical beasts that have shapeshift ability. We can start cleaning up those bastards. But the research was taken down before, right? Michael furrowed his eyebrows. Although I can understand if we scale it down, we might be able to succeed, but it still requires time. By the way, that kind of thing is bound to appear sooner or later. Since we can start researching it now, why can't we? He smirked. In fact, Graham family can be the sole sponsor for this project. The government will blame us if we use this kind of thing, but if we are cooperating with the government and becoming a sole sponsor, it's easy for us to get our hand on this thing. I see. We can do that. Unfortunately, it will require your help, Father. Michael understood what Nathan was thinking. Of course, your influence is still not powerful enough for this. Nathan shrugged. I will lay down the foundation for you, the rest will be up to you. Yes, I will do my best in that area. Nathan nodded. There was another reason he wanted to handle this. With a technology that could be used in many ways, Michael, who would become the leader of this project, would surely gain a big boost in his reputation. Given the situation, he might reach 4-star general sooner than he predicted. This would give Graham family a big advantage over other families. Michael also understood the seriousness of this matter and planned to do whatever it took. Thank the brat later. Nathan smirked, as Kai just gave the idea to reconstruct that research. I will. He nodded, before looking at Kai wandering around the area. The group then continued watching the battle. Kai didn't stop even for a second, but he simply couldn't see any kind of signs that could give some clues for him. Gee, I don't know if I should be careful or not, but I think I can stall the fight a little bit. Kai nodded as he saw how Michelle and the others surrounded him. Chapter 337. Payback. Kai looked at Ayaka's movement closely to not even miss her glance. After all, it might become the clue to her time bomb that she had hidden in this area if there was any. With her current condition, Ayaka would be the first one to be eliminated, but there was a possibility that she used this to her own advantage. I will win in this place. Kai grinned, making a tough face as if everything was going according to the plan. You think you can defeat us here? Michelle also did the same. Not a single person knew that these two were just bluffing. There wasn't a single plan, but as long as the opponents thought that way, they could use it to their advantage to make them a bit more careful. Shadow Slash. Michelle released the first attack as a black sword slash ran through the ground, going directly to Kai. Kai, on the other hand, raised his sword and slashed the Shadow Slash in just a single swing. There wasn't even a single resistance before the Shadow Slash disappeared. Is this really all your strength, Michelle? It's already dark, you know. Kai narrowed his eyes. It's not dark enough. She shook her head. I haven't gotten the full power up. Kai fell silent before glancing at Ayaka. You are next, Ayaka. No, you will die here. Ayaka smirked as she raised her spear with one hand. Even if I only have one hand, it's still enough to last me a couple of hours. Within that time, you will die. I am looking forward to what you can do. He smiled and looked at Sophia. Your skills are amazing. I have seen how big your potential is, and I hope that you can become a strong person after the 3 months training. I am not going to be left behind by them. My objective is still the same. Sophia shook her head with a serious expression. Haha, if you're talking like that, it just makes the whole situation sound fake, you know. It's better than hiding my real intention. Well, maybe that's why I've started thinking of you as my friend, genuine friend. Kai smiled. That's the second best thing I will hear today. Oh, what is the best thing then? Of course, it's the victory. Sophia smirked as she raised her arm, summoning another blue magic circle on top of her head. Phew. Unfortunately, you can't hear that today. Kai shrugged before looking at Evan. Come on, Evan. Why did you run from me this whole time? You are going to kill me in a split second if I face you head on. You know it better than me. Evan snorted as he felt he was the one who was being teased. Haha, your reaction was priceless before. Kai wanted to laugh but suppressed the feeling. Oi. Veins started bulging out on his forehead as Evan raised his pistol to the side and shot it. Kai widened his eyes, wondering if it was a misfire or something. He just couldn't believe that the bullet flew toward Ayaka. To his surprise, Ayaka had already swung her weapon, hitting the bullet like a baseball. The small bullet suddenly flew toward Kai frozen falling stars. Sophia activated her magic as the magic circle on her hand summoned another one, 30 times larger, in the sky. 4 balls of ice then emerged from the magic circle. Falling down toward Kai, Kai raised his hand, ready to snap her finger. The 4 immediately covered their ears to avoid being disturbed by the sound. After that, he summoned 4 magic circles simultaneously, each pointing at them before the first magic circle disappeared. He purposely used that motion to fool them and send his real attack. Their eyes suddenly became blurry. This is his frequency attack, Michelle shouted. Avoid the magic circle. Make sure it doesn't directly face you. When Michelle instructed them like this, Kai already made his way toward his original target, Evan. As soon as he arrived in front of him, he slashed his sword downward, planning to end him in this one strike. Michelle and Ayaka appeared again. Due to Ayaka losing her hand, Michelle needed to provide more power to her, or else she would lose instantly. Kai saw this and let his sword go, allowing him to bend his body a bit more than he was supposed to. In that position, he clenched his fist and struck Evan's abdomen. Gah! Evan spat out a mouthful of blood and was blown away. Sophia appeared next to him. Having anticipated this movement, Kai bent down even more and threw a kick toward her. Sophia blocked it with her hand. Luckily, Kai had already lost its balance, so the power of the kick wasn't that much. It was still something she could handle. At the same time, she punched Kai on the stomach, trying to replicate what he did to Evan, albeit he was Kai, not Evan. When he saw the punch coming, a magic circle appeared and stopped her fist. Grabbing his sword again, he struck the 2 weapons from above again before using that as a support to launch him to the air with his body spinning. Sound blast. Kai activated another magic and flew toward Evan, trying to use this confusing situation to kill the second person, Fire Net, Ice Wall. Ayaka summoned her Fire Net right in front of him, while Sophia created a giant ice wall on each side of the Fire Net, stopping Kai in his tracks. Michelle used this chance to catch up with him. Her shadow also rose and summoned a pair of Shadow Sword before releasing the same attack as her Shadow Slash. Kai used his Sound Blast again to stop his movement. When he landed on the ground again, he turned around and slashed Michelle's Shadow Slash. To his surprise, the power in this Shadow Slash was far stronger than he expected. It must be due to the dark environment that enhanced her power to a different level. Evan shot him with a few bullets, but the bullets were blocked by Kai's Oscillation Shield. You are so good to the point you don't need to look where I'm pointing at. Evan sighed. It's not me. I just used a shield, big enough to cover my entire back. Kai smiled. Just like he said, this wasn't possible if he only had 10 or 20% of his magic power. Before anyone could say anything, Michelle had arrived. She suddenly confronted his sword, even though her Shadow Sword couldn't stop his Vibration Sword. However, Michelle suddenly held his wrist instead and summoned the shadow, grabbing the right hand. They then pulled it back at the same time, stopping Kai's right hand from making a move. This is my full power. She smiled. Since the night had finally come, she managed to use the boost that the darkness gave her to the maximum and stopped Kai. Kai gritted his teeth and turned around to shake her off, but her position remained the same, only leaving him to face Evan instead of Ayaka and Sophia. Sophia followed her move. She used her full power, including the exoskeleton, just to stop his other hand from moving. She literally buried Kai's left hand in her embrace, just to stop it. Now! Both of them shouted at the same time. Kai widened his eyes. Never expecting an attack like this, Evan appeared in front of him with his pistol and shot him. Oscillation shield. The shield blocked every single bullet. Listening to Ayaka's movement, she seemed to be heading toward him as well, so he decided to free himself first. He had an option to launch himself to the sky to shake them, but he realized that every time he flew to the air, he was always rained by attacks. In that case, he chose the second option. Due to his hand being buried in her embrace, Kai's hand reached slightly lower than her abdomen. There was no kindness or gentleman in the war. He pressed that area with a bit of power. Sophia's body shook as she never prepared for something like this. To think Kai would utilize this kind of attack. However, they had agreed that no matter what happened, they needed to stop Kai. Sophia gritted her teeth and kept clinging to his arm, enduring whatever he did to her. Her eyes were closed, and she looked like Kai just wronged her. Noticing how Sophia acted, he planned to fly because the first plan wasn't very effective. It was at this time Ayaka used her fire to create a small explosion that boosted her speed for a second, heading straight to Sophia. After finding that Sophia was harassed by Kai's evil hand, she decided to go toward Kai from her direction. Kai widened his eyes when he listened to this and prepared for another oscillation shield at Ayaka's direction. Evan is shooting from the front. As long as I know where Ayaka is coming from, I will be able to stop this attack once. After that, I will be able to free myself. Kai thought that everything was within his calculation, but unbeknownst to him, the latter had chosen the fastest but most brutal way to strike him, one that never appeared in his mind. Ayaka swung her spear, cutting Sophia into two. The spear continued making its way toward Kai. Kai reacted at the last second and shifted his body to the right, making Ayaka's spear miss just slightly. And he was so focused on Ayaka, his arm had been frozen this whole time. It's payback time. Ayaka smiled. Chapter 338, End. It's payback time. I will be leaving the rest to you three. Sophia smiled as her body disappeared. Michelle and Ayaka turned serious. Even though they had discussed that either she or Michelle would be sacrificed to inflict serious damage to Kai, it still made them feel bad to kill their own comrade. Even though it was clearly the best choice, Kai used this chance to swing his sword as the two immediately retreated a few meters back. Looking at his hand on the ground, he used his sword as support, feeling a bit weak due to the blood loss. This is the technique that you can only use here. He sighed while deactivating his current sword and hanging it on his pants. As for his sword, he took the one his severed arm was still holding and used this one instead. Of course, we know that. But since you want us to fight here instead of the real world, it's better to take advantage of the system. Ayaka shook her head. And I am not complaining or whatsoever. I am just surprised with how daring you are. Kai sighed. Either way, this is the last stretch. You only have one hand and lost too much blood. Michelle pointed her sword at him. Yeah, your right arm is not that strong anymore, while Ayaka also only has one arm. She is in the same condition as me. Kai looked at them with a serious expression. Besides, the only reason you could fight me this well was due to Evan strengthening you with his new magic. Even so, we won't be dying like a fool, since Evan also has healed us. As for you, it's better to surrender. This is our win. Michelle snorted and jumped toward him. Ayaka followed suit and thrust her spear. Kai slashed Michelle's sword first before blocking Ayaka's spear with his sword. Michelle instantly made another pair of swords while Evan shot him. Without his other hand, Kai was forced to use his oscillation shield to block Michelle's attack, but it ended up being destroyed with her shadow slash. At the same time, Evan's bullets flew past the shattered magic circle. Kai shifted his body to the side, but Ayaka suddenly pushed him back, forcing him to stay on his feet. Luckily, Kai's strength was stronger than her. He managed to walk one step to the side, having only his already cut arm pierced by the bullets. KH. He had grown accustomed to pain, but if it was a continuous pain like this, it was hard to endure it like this, and he was also tired from losing too much blood and getting attacked this whole time. Michelle continued her strike, where another oscillation shield blocked her again. Not wanting to make the same move, a black magic circle appeared on their feet before a wall of shadow emerged from the ground, trying to strike his abdomen and ultimately blew him away. Kai clicked his tongue and raised his foot, stopping the wall with his foot. After that, he used another sound blast to blow Ayaka away. Having read this, Ayaka activated her fire wing before getting blown away, so she could immediately decelerate and attack him again. Seeing there were 2 seconds of leeway, Kai swung his sword at Michelle. It was at this moment Michelle summoned his shadow. Normally, one of his hands would be able to strike this, but because he didn't have 2 hands anymore, the shadow successfully grabbed his body before throwing him into the air. Kai observed the entire situation first. Since he had gotten to the air, he planned to take advantage of it and used his sound blast to launch him toward Evan. Ayaka had predicted it as she clapped her hand. Fire net. Kai furrowed his eyebrows and used another sound blast to stop him. Before he used another one to launch him in another direction, Michelle had arrived next to him, swinging her swords. Kai also struck both swords with his own weapon, only to click his tongue as Ayaka's spear arrived. With that distance, she obviously threw her spear. However, Michelle summoned her own shadow and caught the spear before using it to push Kai back. As long as that spear was still here, he wouldn't be able to cut anyone else down. However, with the current situation, Michelle and her shadow managed to win in terms of strength, blowing him away. Kai was spinning in the air. Evan used this chance to shoot at him, but was blocked by the oscillation shield. He then landed on the ground before leaping 3 times to stop the momentum. Michelle and Ayaka surrounded him again from 2 different reactions, while Evan maintained his distance so as to not get killed by Kai in a single mistake. He checked the surroundings. What should I do? Behind me is a trees. Kai suddenly realized what he needed to do and shouted, I am really at a disadvantage. Losing 1 arm is big for you because your fighting style is focused on dual wielding so much, and you will be weakened as time passes. This is the day we claim our victory, Michelle smiled. Just surrender. We won't bully you after this. Ayaka smirked while looking at him with a teasing glance. You are so sure that I will be losing? Kai snorted before a magic circle appeared right on the ground behind him. It was right between his legs and the tree. Sound blast. Want to escape? Ayaka and Michelle thought the same thing as they leaped toward him. I won't let you. It was at this moment, Kai suddenly adjusted his feet and stomped the tree instead of the magic circle. So instead of going up with his sound blast, he leaped toward Ayaka. Ayaka was shocked and instinctively put her spear to protect her, but she was too late. Kai cut both of her feet as her body fell down next to her. He spun his body, planning to strike her down with one last slash. Seeing this, Michelle increased her speed and struck Kai down. Don't you dare to touch her. To her surprise, Kai made another turn just to direct his swing at her instead of Ayaka. He read me. Michelle widened her eyes before she found Ayaka's spear faster than him, appearing right between him and Michelle. Ayaka must know that her spear wouldn't be able to pierce Kai at this point, so she left it to Michelle. However, a green magic circle appeared right on the spear's butt as it launched the spear straight where Evan was. Wah! Evan and Michelle were shocked. Evan tried to avoid this sudden attack, but to no avail. The spear impaled his right arm, almost cutting it. Either way, he couldn't use this hand in a short time, let alone at a time like this where the conclusion would come at any moment. Cage. He gritted his teeth and immediately covered it with his bubble to stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Michelle realized that with her speed, she wouldn't be able to stop in time. Her swords were also not strong enough to stop Kai's vibration sword. Kai used this chance to cut the 2 shadow swords along with her, but the latter managed to avoid the fatal blow by sacrificing her hand. Impossible. Ayaka's voice echoed in their ears as Evan on the opposite side of her could see what just happened. After cutting Michelle's hand, he released the grip, making the sword fly toward Ayaka. With the pain of losing her legs and the unbalanced body, she had no chance of defending herself from Kai's sword. Ultimately, the sword pierced her heart, and she died on the spot. Evan grabbed the pistol that fell to the ground after being pierced by the spear and shot him. Unfortunately to him, Kai's oscillation shield already formed and blocked the bullet. Michelle, leave. She suddenly heard Ayaka's voice and knew what she was trying to do. Her shadow then threw her away. Seeing this, Kai also realized what they were planning and summoned a magic circle to avoid this. Michelle wouldn't let him go away and sent her shadow slash toward him. When he was about to create another oscillation shield, he was forced to create one on his left due to Evan shooting him. Because his left hand was no longer there, He had no way to stop this other than Oscillation Shield, so Michelle's Shadow Slash managed to break the Sound Blast magic. Circle. Lullaby. Kai didn't want to go down just like that and changed his strategy. The high-pitched sound echoed in everyone's ears, but to his surprise, Ayaka's magic circle was still formed right below his feet. You have used that technique on me the most. I have grown accustomed to it already. Ayaka smiled with her right eye closed, as if enduring the pain. I will bring you down with me, love you. Kai gritted his teeth and leaped back while moving his Oscillation Shield to the front. Not wanting to let Ayaka's attack go to waste, he released another shot. Due to this, Kai tilted his head to the side and had his ear destroyed by the bullet. At the very least, he didn't die from this. This was all his thought. Scarlet explosion, boom. The magic circle finally showed its might, engulfing her and Kai. Sadly, Kai managed to get away from the epicenter and used the force to blow him away. However, he was covered with burn marks. His clothes almost got burned completely. Evan aimed at him once again, only to find himself dead right after Kai managed to throw his last sword to him before the scarlet explosion. This was insane. Even so, without any strength left along with his weapons, Michelle decided to end this. She appeared right before him and stabbed him with her swords. We finally won. Michelle smiled, knowing they couldn't feel proud of this messy win, but Kai shocked her once again. That is, if you kill me first before I kill you. Before his last breath, Kai's finger was right next to her ears. This was the magic that he had sealed this whole time, and Michelle would receive it at point-blank range. Ultrasonic Assassin, Snap. Chapter 339, Explanation. Ahaha! Kai laughed as soon as he exited the training capsule, while the rest looked at him with a weird face as if they were disgusted with how he was a sore loser. Nathan let out a long sigh and walked toward him before patting his shoulders. Listen up, brat. I know that doing something like that is necessary for war, but why can't you just give the win to them? They have trained so hard to defeat you. You just don't like. I used it because Michelle is the one that kills me, right? Well, the last man standing is still me, so I win. Kai shrugged while looking away. To think there is someone even more shameless than me. Kid, if you want to form a family, you need to know when to admit defeat and say sorry. That's your responsibility. And this is even more true when you have multiple wives. If you don't know when to stop, there will be huge friction between you and your wives, creating various problems. Take this as a grandfather's advice. But earlier, it was a war, not a family problem. That's not my point. Anyway, just put this inside your mind and make sure you remember it. I don't want to see my daughter or daughter-in-law suddenly come to me crying. You hear me? Yay, yes. Kai nodded. Good. I know that you have a vision for your own family, but advice from your father or grandfather will prove to be useful when the time comes, even if it's only useful for one time after 10 years or more of marriage. I understand. Kai repeatedly nodded. Since I have said my piece, let's discuss the strategy of the war with these folks. Nathan pointed his finger toward Michael and the others, including the girls. Kai looked at them and found Michelle and the others were trying hard to hold their laughter. They must feel happy when he got reprimanded like this, but he just let it go. First of all, what was your plan from the beginning? I didn't have one. I made one on the spot when I learned about the layout. Still, I indeed felt the importance of having an operator. He nodded. We can talk about an operator later. For now, I want to ask you about the plan you made on the fly. The rest started listening to him attentively as Kai began his explanation. First of all, my plan was to search for a place to fight them. After knowing that every single place is the carefully planned terrain, I chose the place that had the most advantage for the current me, which was my own spawn point. Unfortunately, it seemed the terrain just gave them the same advantage, so I changed my plan to kill one or two in this place before going to another place. So, they needed to adjust their own position again. This would leave a gap in their positions, especially after getting used to the first terrain. And so, from what I could see, I needed to kill Tasha first, because she would be the one preventing me from getting to another terrain. I formulated a plan to bait Tasha out, and you might already notice it, but I failed a few times. Tasha thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. She indeed felt being baited a few times, and only the last one she had finally come to help and died. After killing Tasha, I tried to kill one more, which was the one supporting, increasing their ability, and healing their wound. Evan. Unfortunately, after various attempts, none of them succeeded. Kai let out a long sigh, feeling frustrated just remembering about it. Hehe, if I were like the previous me, only having my healing magic, you wouldn't target me, right? Evan smirked. Yeah. As I said earlier, your new magic that could enhance one's ability was very powerful and dangerous to your opponent. However, if they didn't know you had an ability like that, you wouldn't be targeted. That's why your main mission is to hide that magic, don't worry. After mastering this technique, I have learned that I can enhance the water inside your body instead of creating a water bubble that was visible from the outside. This way, no one should know about the trick yet except the people here. That's good, Kai nodded. Anyway, I never expected that Ayaka would try to cut me like that. Should I say as expected of my plan? Ayaka asked before glancing at Sophia. Yes, that's the only way to injure him at that moment, so I couldn't really complain. Besides, Michelle was in the position as well. Unfortunately, my position was better than her, so I should say it was because of me choosing a better position I could help you in almost killing him. Sophia thought for a moment before shrugging. Indeed, the credit is for both of us. Ayaka nodded in agreement, and with Michelle, Ayaka, and Evan as my last opponents, I was on my wits' end. In fact, if you waited for another 10 to 20 minutes and weakened me with the blood loss, I would be defeated without having a chance to come back. Sadly, you were going for the kill, Kai smirked. Indeed, let me make an example with my own experience, Nathan added. I have fought many opponents, and there is one type that I always feel the most troublesome. The one that doesn't have an interest in anything other than battles that they can definitely win, Kai and Nathan said at the same time. They exchanged looks and smirked as if they were thinking the same reason Nathan decided to explain this. A person like this is not a person who takes risks. No matter how tempting the bait we lay down is, they will never take it. And the more worked we get, the more casually and relaxed they will evade us. No matter what time, a man like this can always see right through you. There was a time I fought against this guy, and as you know, my temper, me getting angry and chasing him too far, only to be countered, became the norm in all my battles with him. That's why, if you met this type of person, you needed to wait patiently and destroy all the pawns first, before catching the big fish. Well, obviously, this guy beside me is not a person like this. Nathan didn't forget to add the last sentence while pointing his finger at Kai. He took the risk and tried to turn the overall situation into his favor by his brain. Meanwhile, I was the one who chose to battle with tactics according to how my opponents moved, unless they got on my nerves. You might have seen Paolo. He was the guy who thought nothing and charged at the enemy. After the enemy made their move, he would adjust his strategy by instinct alone. Luckily, the girl, Erica, managed to tame that wild beast. The other type is Ethan. If he were ordered to hold a base or an area, he would move to a favorable place and turn it into a fortress. Unless you cracked your head open and made something unusual, you were unlikely to pierce his defense. Of course, you could overwhelm him too, but you would realize that you lost twice as much. There are many types of generals, but these four are the most popular ones. I am the second one, by the way. Kai also added, telling the others he was the same type of Nathan. Of course, I am calmer. You brat! Are you sulking because I gave you advice earlier? Nathan rolled his eyes. The people in the room laughed before Nathan turned serious. With the earlier progress, if Kai were the fourth type like Ethan, you would have lost without injuring him. Anyway, try to make your own path and know your strength, so you don't lose your way in your own personal tactics. This doesn't only apply to a general who is leading thousands of soldiers, but it can be for a small group of 5. Yes, thank you. Michelle and the others thanked him, sticking this in their mind. So even without Kai, they could do much more. Explain your last strategy, Nathan asked Kai to continue. Kai nodded. It was just a full brawl. My strategy remained the same, kill Evan first. Unfortunately, because Ayaka and Michelle would always go between him and me, I needed to do something that would catch them off guard. That was where that sound blast trick was coming, huh? Nathan nodded. By making them think you were planning to escape, you forced them to stop you. It was at that time they were the most vulnerable. Due to the position, you couldn't strike both of them. One more thing, Kai added. Since they had a chance to stop my attack if I was going straight, I chose to stay as low as possible, so they needed to swing their weapon first to stop my attack. This would give me a split second to cut their legs. Without mobility, they would be an easier target that bound to make a mistake because they would panic for a second. I see. I panicked that I couldn't fight anymore, so I threw my spear. So Michelle's shadow sword didn't lose to your vibration sword, but it turned out to be the one you were waiting for. Yeah, using that, I tried to kill Evan, albeit the positioning was a bit off and I didn't have my balance after that move. Luckily, I still struck him. During the last stretch, I tried to stay calm, even though I knew I would be pretty much done for. That's why I killed Evan using my sword, since Ayaka chose to bring me down with her last. But not least, when I almost died, Michelle lowered her guard down. She didn't notice she missed my heart. In fact, she must haven't realized I shifted my lower body a bit to readjust my heart position just to stay alive longer. Kai nodded. When Michelle heard that, she drew a gasp while looking at him with a weird look. She wanted to say something, but words stuck in her throat, knowing it was her fault. At the same time, Tasha and Sophia nodded at each other, realizing the loss they suffered this time was well deserved. Evan and Ayaka thought they could do something more for the team if they didn't die there. Kai utilized Evan's lack of experience and Ayaka's panic state well. They truly wanted to go back and reflect on this match. Not only would it be useful for their fight in a group battle a few months from now, but they could use this knowledge on the battlefield. Alright, since we are done here, let's have dinner first. I want to talk about the operator too. They exchanged looks and nodded. Chapter 340. An operator. After dinner, they didn't go back yet, as they were waiting for the explanation from Nathan. Alright, you want to know more about operators, right? For this, I think it's better for Daisy to explain it to you. He looked at Daisy and nodded. Daisy then started explaining. An operator has 3 main jobs. The first is to get all the data for the entire mission layout, like if there are any buildings, slopes, hills, or even mountains. Their second job is to locate the enemy and predict their movement. Knowing where they go allows you to create a plan ahead of plan in whatever terrain you want. The third job is to fight alongside you. Of course, there are 2 meanings for this fight. The first is literally fighting in the front line, while the other is to fight as your operator. Maybe it's a kind of a shadow member of your group. We recognize it as a 6th man. If you are going to have an operator, you can find one among your peers. You are still too young, so it's better to grow together with your group. The operator and your group will have an easier time if it's something like this. Unfortunately, as much as I wanted to suggest this for your group, you are more suited for the second option, which is to get an experienced operator. Why did I suggest this? It's simple. Your group's growth is far too tremendous for a normal student to catch up with you. Suppose you are asking me about this when you just become a freshman. I will ask you the first option. Well, it's better to move on and don't indulge in that. Although the operator has an important job, it's not like the group can't function without one around. She shrugged. So, any question? Nope, I only have one problem that I feel concerned about. That is whether they are counted as the member of my group or not. If it's the latter, it's good because I might be able to search for one. If it's the former, I already have 6 members, so it's not good to add another one. Kai sighed. Indeed, she nodded while glancing at Sophia. Well, they are not counted as a party member unless they are assuming a fighting role in your group. We can take the example of your teacher. She currently has the role of an instructor. If she is working as your operator, she won't be counted as the 7th member because she just stays inside the school. But if Evan is your operator, then he is included because he does have a portion of fighting. That's why I believe your current condition needs one operator that is not counted. You can probably hire one and pay them money for one mission. You do have cash lying around. Right, Kai thought for a moment and nodded. We do indeed have a quite amount saved up for our group, but I don't want to hop from one to another for various reasons. At the same time, I want someone that I know to take the position, so it won't be too awkward for us. In that case, why don't I ask Sister Becca? Ayaka suddenly offered a solution. I mean, she is pretty good at doing her work like this. At the same time, she used to be a fighter on the front line, so she has the experience, which is good. I don't know the details, but I think she changed her job to an operator 3 to 4 years ago. Oh! Kai looked at her with amazement. If Becca could do it, he felt there was no problem. Not only did he know her ever since he got a weapon from Kudo Group, but he also went through a lot during the escape. The relationship between them was pretty good, to be honest. What do you think? She asked. The suggestion is good, but let's not be hasty to decide. I want to ask everyone's opinion first. No, I should say, I need to see her skill first and whether she can assist us or not. Let me ask first. Ayaka pulled out her communication device and called Becca. After a series of beep sounds, the latter picked up. Hello, Ayaka. It's rare to see you call me. Do you need anything? Big sister used to be an operator, right? Yeah. Because of various reasons, I converted from the front line to an operator for 2 years. And the accident happened. So I never worked as an operator anymore, considering it has been so busy to set up the new Kudo Group. Well, since the whole situation and company have been established, I start thinking about rejoining the army, either becoming an operator or fighter. Maybe I can train the younger generations from Kudo Group. Also, that's great. Her voice was full of confusion. Yeah, my group and I are talking about an operator, and I remember you. That's why I'm calling you to check whether you have free time or not. You are not asking me to be your operator, right? I mean, I am already an old lady, probably the same age as your teacher, so I shouldn't intrude on your school life. Becca still hesitated. I know that. But there will soon be a big transition. After changing the terms, Sophia will return to EU base while Tasha graduates. That's why we only have 4 members. We need your power the most. And Kai also needs to handle the business for 3 months straight. So we will be down to 3 members. So, you want me to join? Yes. The sooner the better, since you can get used to our fighting style for the last few missions. Ayaka nodded. I see. That's something worth considering. I don't know a single person in the army, and the family has its own instructors, so this one is truly tempting. I have been following you guys too, so I can understand what you have gone through and how much you have gotten from all those missions. However, this is not something I should decide alone. Maybe you should talk to your mother and father first and see whether you can get their approval. Ayaka furrowed her eyebrows while looking at Kai. The call was on speaker, so everyone could listen to their conversation. They never expected that there was an experienced operator candidate in their own circle. Kai thought for a moment and nodded. All right, I will ask them later. Sure. I will finish the discussion first before going back, so I'm going to hang up. All right, I won't take your time any longer. See you later. See you later. Ayaka hung up and looked at Kai and the others, noticing the amazement coming from their eyes. But she saw there was a single person who wasn't happy with it. It was none other than Nathan Chi. I have been beaten by a little brat. I was just going to nominate Via here. He clicked his tongue. I mean, she should have more experiences since she was studying under me, and her light element was useful in various situations. I know your goodwill, and she won't probably reject it if the request comes from you, but I don't want to risk it. I mean, her skill is extraordinary on a battlefield, so it's a waste to have her with us. Kai shook his head. He had worked together with her a few times, so he understood her quality and works. However, the problems were stated above, so there was no point in considering it. Anyway, there is no point in this talk anymore. Since you are going to have an operator, I don't have anything more to say. I am just going to tell you another matter. Nathan let out a long sigh before staring at Kai. Is it about me? Kai tilted his head in confusion. Yeah. Your rank has increased once again, and you have officially become a colonel. Only 1 more to become a general. Considering you have 3 more missions before Tasha's graduation, I believe you can get the status. Just make sure that you aim as high as possible during your school day, because you won't need to obey someone when you graduate. He laughed. Kai didn't know what to say. He checked his email and found the letter from the army saying his rank has been upgraded to colonel. Since you are planning to train from January to March in your teacher's house, it's better to spend the remaining days with your family, especially the new year. Why do you sound like I am going to die? You are not. Nathan looked surprised, mouth wide open. I will die, but it's just a battle simulation. I am not going to die for real. All right. Anyway, I will use these few days to plan for whatever I need to do and probably make a schedule for me to follow. Kai nodded while admitting defeat to Nathan. Yeah, you can do that. For the others, you all can do the same as him. Spend your time with your family while writing down your plan, so you know precisely what you need to do during this holiday. Nathan nodded in agreement before looking at Sophia with a teasing glance. Yeah, you need to spend your time with your family. This means you can go home earlier. Veins bulged on her head as she wanted to punch this old man to death. But considering he wouldn't meet Kai and any other else until next year, she should return like what Nathan said. As for the others, they indeed needed to make a concrete plan because their training would be as intense as Kai. Enough with the teasing, Sir Nathan, Kai sighed. Anyway, it's time to go home. Sure, I will ask the driver to send you back.